time for the Straight Up Wrestling Show.
What's up, everybody? It's HBT with Straight Up Wrestling Show. I'm here with my man, Christopher Burton.
People's Podcaster, y'all know how we do it, guys. And welcome to another episode, man. And welcome to part 2 of the WWE Hall of Fame, man. Who should be in, who is in, who you think shouldn't be in, and who do you think should go in?
Exactly. Give me just 1 minute, but yeah, keep talking, Chris.
I told you to get yourself together, man.
I am together, but I'm about to turn this dog on camera around. Give me a second. Let's see.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome in, man. Excuse me, man. I was a little bit watering right now, guys. But hey, we're here, man. We're gonna start back where we left off, man, at the year 2005, man. 2005, guys. Hold on 1 second here, guys.
Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, 2005, like Chris said. So let me go ahead and pull all that up. Chris, pretty much, I guess he's got some things going on at the house. He want to make sure everything straight there. So hey, but guys, we're gonna get into this 2005 in just a little bit. But as soon as Chris comes back, guys, I'm gonna talk about Thunderbolt Patterson. We're going to talk about Thunderbolt Patterson. Then we're going to get into this 2005, man. We definitely going to discuss that. And, hey, a little bit more. So if you out here, man, hey, you want a Straight Up Wrestling Show, you one of our friends, man, you one of our friends that usually come here in the chat, hey, come on in, man. We welcome the Straight Up Wrestling family to do this thing. I know it's Saturday morning, and it's kind of early for a lot of people because a lot of people like to sleep in, but hey, come on in, man. We're going to rock this thing out. But, yeah, Chris will be back in just a moment. But, yeah, we're going to talk about this Hall of Fame, guys. Who should be in and who shouldn't be. Who should be in, who should be there, or whatever, man. I'm just like, hey, I end up putting these titles up and then forget them a little bit later. But Chris, he's got that thing down packed. But I appreciate everybody coming in, man. And as you come in, hit that like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, you do the same thing. If you're on Twitter, hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet. And if you're on Facebook, hit that like, share, join if you're on Facebook. Appreciate everybody coming in, man, checking us out.
All right, man. I'm back, man. Go ahead, man. All right. Yeah, guys, so 2005, man, is where we last stopped off with this thing, guys. And there's a lot of notable names in the Hall of Fame, man. So now this one right here, I'm more familiar with, man.
Hold up, Chris, man. Hold up. I'm talking about Thunderbolt just a little bit before we get into that.
Yeah, you go ahead, man, because I don't know nothing about that man.
Oh, of course you don't know nothing about him, man, because you're not truly a wrestling historian like you should be, man. You know, hey.
I seen that joker one time, but he was talking some language I ain't never heard of. Boy.
You out your flipping mind, boy.
That's what he was saying, boy. He got there talking about beating up on somebody, and the crowd went crazy. I'm like, what the fuck this old joker say? What he doing? But who is it?
If you can understand Pistol Pez Watley, Shaska Watley, you definitely can understand.
No, man, that was big.
If you can understand Dusty Rhodes, you definitely can understand Thunderbolt Patterson.
I ain't never look. Oh my years of wrestling, I ain't never heard nobody talk like that. Now,
hey, Dusty got his spiel from Thunderbolt Patterson. But I tell you what, when I first heard him when I was little, back in the 70s, I had to take a double take. I had to take a triple take. I will say that. I had to be like, what in the world? But yeah, he used to drive the crowd crazy, man. And yeah, he pretty much talked that pig Latin. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I was like, what in the
very what I would say unattainable. Really, it was hard to understand it. Unless, like I say, after you done heard him about 4 or 5 times, then you understand the words that he said. But man,
then you always talking about, man, Thunderbolt like the kind of things, man. I like the diamond rings, the Cadillac car. You feel me, baby?
Hey, he was the man.
I'm like, what the world? This talking about diamond rings and Cadillac cars? What?
Soft spoken. I mean, really, not soft-spoken, never got excited. Never, I mean, would be excited, but excited in a calm type way. And then when he got into that ring, very explosive, man. I mean, this Joker was like Thunderbolt Patterson. It'll be a brawl in the ring. Say there's 4 people in the ring, there's 6 people in the ring.
Yeah.
They just fighting it out. Thunderbolt will come out there and just beat up everybody. It was so funny, man. It was so funny. And the way he moved in the ring was hilarious. You know, you talking about shucking and jiving, man. Nobody had it down like Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was just smooth, man. Just, yeah. You know, if you ever seen Rufus R. Jones, that's Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
With a better body. You know, he had a better body than Rufus, but that's Thunderbolt Patterson in that ring, man. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember Thunderbolt Patterson losing a match, man. I mean, if he did lose a match, he still won the match. You understand what I'm saying? He was one of these guys, if he lost the match, he can go out there, he can talk to the crowd and still have you believing that he won the match. And like you said, you heard him talk one time, and just everybody went crazy. That's how it was. He just had that. And Dusty saw that, and Dusty was able to add it to his repertoire, you know, and was more, I would say, I'm not going to say he was more articulate than Thunderbolt Patterson, but he was able to, you know, he was able to have a more, he was a better, he projected his words a little better. You can hear it. You can hear it a little bit better. Like you say, Thunderbolt, man, he would be, in Thunderbolt, he had that dress, man. He would dress fancy like a pimp. You know, he had that pimp-like style. He would go out there, you know, as soon as they start talking to him, Gordon Solie be like, Thunderbolt, what you got to say? Thunderbolt be like, ooh. Be like, I tell you what, man, I saw the guy in the pool hall.
And that's what you do, man.
Yeah,
like, you know.
And I just wanted to get him, but that wasn't the time. See, we have a ring. We got a wrestling ring. And see, I just knew I was going to be able to get this man Monday night at the Greenville Auditorium, Greenville Memorial Auditorium. And then if I couldn't take care of him then, because the man it's kind of smooth, and sometimes you think you got him, and he just slips out of your hand. The Omni, I'm going to get him at the Omni Saturday night in Atlanta, Georgia. You know,
that's what he do.
That business then. Ooh, you know, that's how he was, man. That's Thunderbolt Patterson. But like I said, man, he was one of those guys that could get in that ring. He could take care of business. I don't care who it was. Everybody wanted to team up with him because he just, like you said, he just made the crowd explode. You know, but
is Thunderbolt still alive, man?
Yeah, he's 82 years old, 82, 83 years old. Yeah, he's still alive, man. He was at a, he was with who was it? One of the guys, man. I think it was Undertaker. One of them. He was at a signing not too long ago, about a month ago, with one of them. Took a picture with him. But yeah, Thunderbolt is he's still kicking it, man. Still kicking it live. I'm glad that he is. But yeah, Thunderbolt Patterson, man. Yeah, he's something special, and he's one of these guys. Like I said, he left a big legacy on the sport. You know, big legacy as far as down south. Now, if he would have went up north, I don't know if that would have worked up there because, like you said, a lot of people really couldn't understand him. You know, it took a lot longer for them to understand him. But he's one of these guys, you know, living here in the South, and I don't know, you probably feel the same way. There's a lot of, you know, I hate to say it, there's a lot of black people in the South that I went around and been around, you know, there's a lot of Southern white people can understand that person. It takes me a little while to understand them. You understand what I'm saying? And that was Thunderbolt Patterson. But these white people, man, they like, boom, they hooked on to him so quick. It was a trip, man. But yeah, everybody wanted to team up with Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was incredible. Thunderbolt wanted more. He wanted more from the industry than what the industry was willing to give him. You know, he was wanting, I think he was one of these first, I think he was one of the first guys, man, that was wanting to unionize. He wanted, you know, he wanted a little bit more money as far as, you know, what he was making. You know, he was bringing in a big crowd. So that $50 that driving around for $100 and stuff like that, he did not want that. So he pretty much ended up getting blackballed, man. So that's how he ended up getting out of the business, being put out of the business. I wish our old commentary partner was still around.
He was being greedy, man. See, sometimes, man, look, man, I get it. You want more. I get it. You want more. But sometimes you gotta just take what you can get, man.
Oh yeah. And you know what?
And I understand, you know, he wanted to be, you know, the forefront and be the headliner and all that. But we all know there was during that time, even during that time in the late 80s, there was still some racial undertones in the business.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And especially in the earlier years when he came through and he was just, you know, really coming through. But still, though, man, like I said, sometimes you can take what you can get, man, and it's just crazy that, you know, I just don't know, man.
I think he got his just due, man. I really do. And he never was broke. You can tell by the clothes he wore. He never was broke. He was always a headliner wherever he went. Now, he wasn't the top guy. You know, he wasn't Ric Flair. You know, he wasn't Dusty. But man, he was always, like I said, you know, he was always in that realm of being mentioned with the top players in the game. He was always,
of course.
You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He was always up there with the Dusty Roses. I mean, you know, in the mix of it between Dusty, Rick, the Anderson brothers, Ricky Steamboat, Thunderbolt Patterson was always one of those guys mentioned. He was not he was a mid carder, but he was at the top of the mid card. You know, like
yeah.
You know. If you have 8-9 matches, Dusty Rhodes was like the third from the last match. And if he was teaming up with Ole Anderson, which he won 3 national heavyweight championships with, you know, he was main eventing.
Yeah.
Oh, if he teamed with Ernie Ladd, him and Ernie Ladd had a very good tag team too. He main evented. So, but yeah, that's it with Thunderbolt Patterson, man. But let's go ahead and start off, Chris, with this 2005 class, man.
All right, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2005, man. Now this is here. Now we talking something I understand. Now we getting,
all right, man.
Now we getting to some folk that I can talk about. You know, when we was in part 1, there might have been 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 folk that I could talk about. But this right here, this 2005 class, I can talk about the whole class, Jack. You hear me? Man, look, I'm up here talking like Thunderbolt. Man, what's wrong with me? Get the state, boy. Man, but yeah, this whole class, man, you had Hulk Hogan was inducted by Sylvester Stallone, Roddy Piper inducted by Ric Flair.
Okay.
Your man Cowboy Bob Orton inducted by his son Randy Orton. The Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart inducted by Jerry Lawler. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff inducted by Bobby Heenan. Nikolai Volkov inducted by Jim Ross, and Iron Sheik inducted by Sergeant Slaughter. Now, when this took place, man, this was April 2nd, 2005 in Los Angeles, the venue at the Universal Amphitheater, man. So, yeah. Harry, man, now.
Okay.
Where you want to start, man? You want to go from bottom to top to the bottom, man? I can go either way, man. Because I can
go from the top to the bottom. Top to the bottom, bro.
All right. So you got who my man, that one of the 2 guys that put wrestling on the map, Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Now, man, Hogan, up until this point, he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I mean, because like I said, the man really put wrestling on the mainstream. He really did with the whole MTV rock and wrestling in the 80s.
No doubt about that.
The first WrestleMania and how big and grandeur it was, hooking up with Mr. T, bringing the entertainment world to the wrestling world and combining them both. Man, and then wrestling all over the world, holding all kind of titles and everything, man. I mean, the man has done a lot, man. I mean, I'm talking about even Harry, your day when you was with your man Byrne. When you was down there with your man Byrne, Mr. Thunder Lips, boy, Mr. Shockham Lips.
Classy Freddie Blassie.
Yeah.
Look.
But so, yeah, I think he deserves to be in the
there's no doubt about that. You know, by 2005, he had done so much in the business that I mean, yeah, he definitely was the first ballot Hall of Famer. So yeah, he should have been in there. They just came back the year before 2005 or 2004. But yeah,
it was 2004. Yeah.
So yeah, Hulk Hogan, he should have been in 2004. When it boils down to it, they should have put him in that year. But hey, they didn't waste no time. 2005 went ahead and inducted him, and he deserves all the accolades that Chris was pretty much bestowing on him. Hey, he earned it. I'm not gonna say bestowing on him, because he earned every single bit of it. It's not many things that we can pretty much say about Hulk Hogan. And even if Hulk Hogan wouldn't have ever been, even if he wouldn't have never been the Hulk Hogan that he turned out to be, the take your vitamins, say all your prayers, do all those things. Even if Hulk Hogan would have stayed a heel his whole career from the time he started out working with Classy Freddie Blassie, doing the Thunder Lips type thing. And he had started that before the Thunder Lips, with the robe and everything, man. He was calling himself the Incredible Hulk Hogan when he started. Even if he would have did it that way and would have finished up his career, he still would have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. No ands, ands, buts about it. He still would have made his mark in the business. But he definitely wouldn't have had the same impact that he had as before Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Before Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the way he came out to the families and the kids and everything like that. That the All-American Hulk Hogan, that right there, that Hulk Hogan has really set it off. And then the Hollywood Hulk Hogan, that was big time too. So yeah, he definitely made his mark in the business, man. No matter what anybody says about him and the things that's come up, within the last several years, the lies. Some people say he's racist. I don't think he's racist. I never really thought that or whatever. But hey, racist things been said out of a lot of wrestlers' mouths.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I'm definitely not gonna hold him to that. All I can really say is what he done in the ring, man, was incredible. And the spotlight that he helped put on wrestling, and he in my opinion and Chris's opinion, well, it's not our opinion. It's definitely a fact.
The fact.
You can go back and check. Hey, the receipts are all out there. He more than anybody put wrestling in the spotlight. Outside of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is an owner of the WWE. But outside of Vince McMahon, you gotta credit Hulk Hogan with making this thing worldwide. I mean, and keeping it in the spotlight even till today. Because you ask most people in our generation X and up, me and Chris's generation, X and up, they're gonna tell you, first name that if you say wrestling, they're gonna say Hulk Hogan, man. They're gonna say Hulk Hogan. Of course, they're gonna say Ric Flair too, but they're gonna say Hulk Hogan straight up. Yeah. All right, man. Give me a second. Let me let that dog out, Chris. But you can go ahead and continue to roll on.
All right, man. Number 2, man, was my man, Rowdy Piper, man. Roddy Piper was. Him and Hogan had some wars, man. They had some wars, and Piper basically said, man, he was jealous of Hogan, man. He said he was jealous of him because Hogan was getting all the accolades, and even though Piper was putting in the work, just like Hogan, on the road every day, grinding out there, man, and hitting town to town, this, that, and the third, man, just getting it in every way he can. He said he was jealous, man. And Piper, Piper has just done some amazing stuff, man. He really has. He started out in Canada, little, like, 15-year-old kid, something like that, man. Little scrawny kid, no bigger than this, man. No bigger than my pinky, man. And started getting thrown around, beat up and broken up. Them old dudes having their way with Piper. But Piper kept coming back, and he started getting smartened up to the business, as we like to call it. Started getting smartened up to the business and learning the nuances and the ins and outs and things of that nature of the business, man, to the point where, he was like, okay, I'm getting it now. And on top of that, I'm getting respect of the boys. And yeah, and Piper, man, had so many memories in his career, man. The dog collar match with Greg Valentine at the First Arcade. The coconut on Jimmy Snuka's head in Piper's Pit. And even when WrestleMania 3 was starting, man, at Piper's Pit, when Andre turned on Hogan, man. And then you can't forget to talk about his feud with Mr. T. Oh my gosh, I think that was in WrestleMania 4 or 5, man. It might have been WrestleMania 4. 4 or 5, I can't remember. But Piper, he definitely was something to behold, man, and was smart with it, man. Oh my gosh, he was so smart with it. Piper had those liners and those one-offs, man, those zingers. That he was quick. He was quick on the draw with his comebacks, his words. He was one of the best on the stick. He was one of the best on the stick, bar none, hands down.
No doubt about that. And yeah, that was WrestleMania 3, Chris. That hit him and Paul Orndorff pretty much went at it with no, not him and Paul Orndorff. Yeah, well, it was him and Paul Orndorff went at it with Hulk Hogan.
No, that was one. That was one, man.
That was WrestleMania 3, I thought.
No, that was one.
That was one?
Yeah, that was the first one. Him,
you talking about him and Mr. T? You talking about the boxing match?
Yeah, the boxing match. Yeah, that was either 3. That was either 4 or 5. That was either 4 or 5.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But yeah, the WrestleMania 1 is when him and him and Paul Orndorff went against T and the Hulk Hogan. Yeah. So I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I got that a little mixed up. I, letting the dog out and a little fall away from you. But yeah, he also, to add to that, he had a very memorable feud with Don Morocco too. But yeah, Roddy Piper did some amazing things, man. And I remember when he first started here in the Carolinas. The first time I saw him, like I said, 1979, man, was the first time I saw Roddy Piper. And I was like, I was like fifth grade. And I mean, this Joker was, I just couldn't believe it, man. I really couldn't believe it. And like Chris said, little scrawny guy, wasn't really that big, compared to a lot of the other wrestlers. And first time I saw him, he was over there and he came out in a kilt. I didn't laugh or anything. I was a kid. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on. And everybody started laughing. The whole, everybody, in the audience, I mean, the crowd just, just laughing. And like, get him out of here. He's wearing a dress. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, he pull out these instruments, this instrument that I never seen before. And David Crockett and I forgot who was his commentary partner, Bob Cotter. They were like, those are bagpipes, man. He's Scottish, he's playing the Scottish bagpipes. He started playing. His opponent was like, man, what in the world's going on? What is he doing? He kept interrupting the referee. Man, you need to stop this. What is this guy doing? And the ref went over there and started talking to him, just like you're talking to a police officer somewhere. And, you're trying to, you try to get a police officer to stop the ruckus that's going on next door, or whatever. And the referee would go over there and, he started talking to Piper, man. And the guy was like, he trying to explain to him. He said he wants to play his bagpipes. He's just playing his bagpipes. Piper was getting a little riff in every now and then. But this guy was like, no, man, you need to stop him. You need to stop him. And he just kept pushing that referee to go over there and stop Piper. Piper took those bagpipes, didn't get to finish the song because everybody was booing. They was agreeing with the guy who he was about to wrestle. I forgot who it was, but he's pretty popular. The guy who he was about to wrestle was pretty popular. He's mostly like a jobber, like a Rocky King type guy. And fans started agreeing with him, man. They just booing him, booing him, trying to drown out the bagpipes. He pushed it to the side, man, just took his kilt out, threw it off, pushed the bagpipes to the side. And man, what a mistake that guy made. The referee was like, you gonna get in there, we gonna wrestle. You ain't playing the bagpipes no more. You're gonna wrestle, that's right. Like I say, you don't need to be playing those, you need to take care of business. But right, look at that guy, and that guy all there laughing and stuff like that. And he pointing at the kilt and the bagpipes, letting the crowd know, hey, I don't stop this guy. Roddy Piper went over there and just went flipping crazy, man. Started beating the living daylights out of him. I was like, I was stunned, Chris. I'm like, this is the most explosive. I said, this is the most explosive joke I ever seen in my life. And look, I'm gonna tell you what. I wanted him out. I wanted him out, man.
Well, you thought he was a madman? You thought he was crazy?
He went flipping crazy. I wanted him out of the Mid-Atlantic area right after that first week that I saw him, and not because he was going crazy. He was playing bagpipes or anything like that. I was like, this dude is a threat. He's a threat to my favorite wrestlers. He's a threat to Ricky Steamboat. He's a threat to Ric Flair. He's a threat to Blackjack Mulligan. He's a threat to the Anderson brothers. He was a threat. I looked at him as a threat to be the top guy. But I'm just like, this guy's a threat to be the top guy. And he's weird. He's just weird. In the second week I saw him, same thing, man. Guy over there trying to stop him from playing his bagpipes. Referee like, no, we ain't gonna have this. We ain't gonna have this. He exploded on that guy, beat the snot out of him. I'm like, what the heck is going on with this dude, man? And this dude went out there and started talking, man, and Crockett and all them, Crockett and David Crockett and Bob Carter was like, we understand that you're playing your bagpipes, but these guys in here, man, they trying to make their money. They just want to get to the pay wonder. They want to get the match over and everything like that. Yeah, I'm Roddy Piper. Jumpy just start spewing off, all these different words. I'm Roddy Piper and stuff like that. He said, this is my heritage. And he would just start talking about, this is my heritage. This is what we do and stuff like that. And he said, and people like, that is a dress. The whole crowd, that is a dress.
Oh,
yeah, put his kilt back on after the match. And he was like, this is not a dress. This is a kilt. And they were like, yes, Mr. Piper, we understand that that's a kilt. And they were trying to talk to him, but he just had this great promo. And I'm like, okay, man, this guy's something serious, and he was young. He was young at the time. And I mean, I think he was right out of his teen years at that time. He was just probably around 20, 21 at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, man, who is this guy? Maybe 19. I'm not sure. He had to be around 20, 21. But I'm like, who is this dude? And in the third week, same thing, man. Beat up a jobber, beat the living crap out of him. And I'm like, okay, how's it gonna be when he gets in there against somebody that's quality, that's very, very good? So come Monday night, the next Monday night, I'm saying for 3 weeks, he was coming to the Greenville Auditorium. Okay, so it's the first time I seen him live. He comes to the Greenville Auditorium. And he took on Rufus R. Jones. Rufus, man, one of the top guys in the region. Dominating people, one of the top 4 or 5 guys. Roddy Piper got in there, man, destroyed him. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on? Didn't take long, man. Didn't take long for this guy to end up in 1979. I mean, he won the United States Heavyweight Championship, the second biggest championship next to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, second biggest championship in the world at that time. Yeah. Because it was bigger than it was. Outside of, I'm gonna say, fourth biggest, because it was a NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the AWA World Heavyweight Championship, and the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Which that was still a regional championship at that time. They wasn't calling it a World Heavyweight Championship. Out of Superstar Billy Graham had it. Bob Backlund, the first 2 years, it was just called a regional championship, but it was the third biggest championship in the world. The fourth biggest championship in the world was that United States Heavyweight Championship belt, and he won it. That was the biggest title, in the Southeast region between Georgia, South Carolina, all the way up into Missouri, man. They defended that title and he won it. And I was just flipping stunned, man. I was stunned. And he had, he was, next thing you know, he's in a feud with Ric Flair. Ricky Steamboat. He's in a feud with Ricky Steamboat. That went on for about 4 months. They went back and forth. Steamboat couldn't take the title from him. Then next thing you know, Ric Flair had became a fan favorite. Him and Ric Flair went at it. Him and Ric Flair, they traded the belt like 3 times. It was incredible, man. It was incredible. All right, Ray Underwood in the house. Harry, that Rod was
Underwood.
Ray Underwood. What do you say? Rod was crazy. Laugh out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, he was, man.
Yeah, he was. Growing up, because he would fight on the streets all the time. And this right here was a great, wrestling was a great outlet for all those frustrations that he had. All right, Ray Underwood said, Rod always said he wasn't playing with a full deck. Yeah, he did. He did. All right, Chris, man, we can roll on. We got
all right, man.
So get that out about Roddy Piper. That was the man. That definitely was the man.
All right, next we have the man with the cowboy. The man has had a broke arm for almost 40 years.
Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yes, inducted by his son Randy Orton, and Ric Flair inducted Roddy Piper, and Sylvester Stallone inducted Hulk Hogan, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, Harry. Cowboy Bob Orton, like I said, I caught him at the later part of his career, but I just know that man I think he had a broke arm. He had polio or something when he was a baby, I think, and that's why his arm ain't never healed right. Wasn't that? Ain't that what he said?
Is that what he said, man?
I don't know. I don't know if he had polio when he was a baby. He got fragile bones or something.
Man,
something.
look,
That boy, the man that had a cast forever.
Cowboy Bob Orton. You know, I remember his dad too. Cowboy Bob Orton, and then I remember him. He was junior at first. You know, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. Mm-hmm. Dad was an incredible wrestler. His dad never would have did anything like that. Now, Cowboy Bob Orton, you know, the junior, I was shocked he did that. And very tough guy. I remember when he came in, when he first came into the Mid-Atlantic area. Mm-hmm. I already knew who the guy was. I saw him in the IWA. Saw him a couple different other places, you know, back when he was in Florida and things like that. A very tough guy. Always teaming up with Dick Slater, Dirty Dick Slater, and Dick Murdoch, and people like, you know, those type of people. He always ended up in tag teams, even though he was a very formidable, you know, singles competitor. Mm-hmm. Very good wrestler. Yeah. You know, never really stayed in one place to really solidify himself as one of the top stars. He just moved around because he made a lot of money wherever he went. But he decided to come to the Mid-Atlantic Championship area when Harley Race said, "Take the damn money." Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, man.
You know, he put out that hit on Ric Flair because, hey, Harley Race got tired of Ric Flair, man. Harley Race did not want to lose that NWA title to Harley Race, and that was the second time. I mean, you know, that was, you know, going to the Flair for the gold. And Flair had already had beat it. No, Flair had beat Dusty Rhodes. Flair never had he beat Harley Race defending. In 1981, Flair, you know, had a lot of defenses against Harley Race, and Flair always overcame him. But Ric Flair, like I say, him and Harley Race had history all the way back into the 70s because Harley Race was the world heavyweight champion, and he was defending, trying to hold off Ric Flair. You know, Ric Flair was usually always the number one contender, so he had a lot of matches with him. And he got tired of Ric Flair. He didn't like to come through the Mid-Atlantic area. Harley Race used to always say, "I hate coming to the Mid-Atlantic area because they got the top guys are always here. You got the Ric Flairs. You got the Rex Steamboats. You got the Black Jack Mulligans. You got the Ernie Lads. You always have the best. You got Roddy Piper. You always have the top guys coming for my title." And then, like, you know, he was so good at his promos.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah, that was him.
Harley Race, he was so good at that, man. But yeah, Harley Race said he wants somebody to take the damn money, man. He was tired of this. He was tired of wrestling this guy. Tired of fighting this guy.
Tired of Ric Flair, boy.
Man, take the damn money. So many different people came in to try to get that money, man. Even Abdullah the Butcher came in and tried to get the money.
Man, that is crazy.
Abdullah the Butcher couldn't take him out. Ernie Ladd came through, tried to take the money.
God, man, that's crazy.
A lot of people, even Black Jack Mulligan, Ric Flair's old friend, tried to take the money, man. Roddy Piper tried to get the money. Everybody was trying to get the money. Dick Slater came in by himself, tried to get the money, could not get the money. Next thing you know, Bob Orton Jr. come, and I'm like, oh, Bob Orton Jr., Ric Flair and his few friends with Ricky Steamboat was a real friend of his at the time. Yeah. Him and Jay Youngblood. They're gonna fight off this guy too. You know, Bob Orton Jr. I'm laughing. I'm like, this guy definitely ain't gonna do anything. You know. Yeah. But you know what? Him and Dick Slater, Ric Flair, I forgot he was in a match. Yeah. And those two just came out, man, and they just came out, charged the ring like they was the Road Warriors or something.
Really?
Charged the ring, beat the living crap out of Ric Flair, man, and pretty much, I forgot exactly what body part they broke. I think they broke his arm, but yeah, they broke his arm. He was in a sling. You know, next thing you know, Ric Flair, he's in Charlotte. You know, he's in Charlotte. They laughed and they collected the money. Oh Lord. And Ric Flair's out for a while, man. I never forget the interview when Ric Flair, they went to his home and they had him, while he was in the bed at his home, and they were talking to him, and Ric was saying what he was going to do when he came back. At first, he wasn't sure if he was going to make it back. But he said he had said his plans when he was going to come back, what he was going to do to Dick Slater, what he was going to do to Bob Orton Jr. And he didn't. Bob Orton Jr. He ran. I mean, not Bob Orton Jr. As he came back, Dick Slater he left the area. He left the region. That's the whole thing about it, man. Back in the day, boy, you can leave the region. Somebody chase you out of the region, but he left the region. Bob Orton had planned on leaving too, but he caught Bob Orton, broke his arm, and messed up something in his arm so bad. I mean, messed up his wrist and that major bone.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Bob Orton, man, he's they show him he's at the hospital and everything, man. He come back. His doctor was on TV, man. His doctor explaining the severity of the injury to everybody. Talking about how serious this thing was, and hey, if he does come back, man, he can come back for light duty, but he has to wrestle in this cast, right? So Bob Orton, man, he comes back, start wrestling in the cast, barely can move the arm, basically wrestling, pretty much left-handed, winning some matches. Rick, anytime Rick come out there, he'd be like, no, you supposed to stay away from me. Stay away from me. He got a restraining order against him. Restraining order. You supposed to stay away from me. So Rick could never get to him. Rick wanted to damage that arm some more, man. Piper, became a fan favorite again, wanted to actually help out, Roddy Piper, Ricky Steamboat, all those guys wanted to get to him, injure that arm some more. But he was protected, man, because he had a restraining order and he had this thing where he wasn't gonna fight none of those big top guys. I'm in here for light duty, man. Like he like he works at a regular job. I'm here for light duty. But this dude, man, his arm was just messed up. He was in that cast. And they said, and the doctor said he should be out of this in 6 or 7 months. He should be out of this cast. 8 months go by. They said he need to be out of that cast. He was like, man, I gotta continue. I gotta keep it on. The doctor said I gotta keep it on. And like 11 months passed. He still got the cast on. And he was like, I gotta keep it on. I gotta keep it on. And you had Tony Schiavone and Bob Caudle and David Crockett like, man, you gotta get rid of that cast. You can't continue to wrestle with that cast. He's like, man, I gotta keep it on. And they talked to the doctor. They called the doctor. They had the doctor on the phone, man. Doctor, what do you call those? By the messaging
via telephone or via satellite.
Yeah, you can talk to them via message or whatever it was back then that they had. And the doctor was saying, well, our records show that he could have it off, but he been telling us that he's got to wear it a little bit more. His arm just not right. It's just not right. Next thing you know, another year and a half go by. He still got this thing on, man. They just like, oh my gosh, man. Every week, man, this joker come out there with that cast on. And then, he left the area about after 2 years after that. Rick did get to wrestle him or whatever, but he started using it as a weapon, when he got back in the ring, started wrestling the top stars in the business, man. The Ric Flairs, and guys like that, the Magnum TAs, and they had Magnum at that time, Dusty Rhodes. He would use it as a weapon. He's using that as a weapon. Next thing and then he up and left, and he went up to Georgia, same thing, and then he went up to the WWF, same thing, man. But he kept that cast on, man. It was just like when he went to the WWF, he still had that cast on. I could not believe it. I said, "What in the world is going on, man?" Man, that is crazy.
Hey, because that's one thing I remember about him, man. I remember that Joker, man. He literally, man, had in WrestleMania 1, man, he come up here and had that cast, man, and was almost won the match for him and Orton, man. Not him and Orndorff, man.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a 3-on-2.
Right.
A regular tag, it was a 3-on-2. And so next thing I know, he come off the rope, was gonna hit Hogan, and messed around and missed and hit Orndorff.
Yeah, I remember.
And laid out Orndorff with that cast, man. I was like, "Are you kidding me, man?"
What year was that? Was that around 1985?
Yeah, 84, 85, somewhere in there, man.
Yeah, because I remember because he had left around that time. He had he just had debuted not a little bit before WrestleMania. So let me see. Yeah, because he that was 1984, I think. No, 83. Was it 83? 83. When the Flair for the Gold happened, when he was going for it. And like I said, he was there for like a year. He was there for like a year and a half, and then he went to Georgia for like 6 months. Then next thing you know, he ended up in the WWF. And I was kind of happy that he was up in the WWF because Mid-Atlantic and Georgia Championship Wrestling, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and Georgia Championship Wrestling was my favorite regions. And this guy was just terrorizing people with that cast. But he went to the WWF, and at first I was kind of happy that he was, but I was mad. Then I got upset that he was there with it. I'm like, because it was a lot of guys up there that I liked too, that was up north. And I'm like, this dude right here, he still got the cast on, man. But yeah, I remember he ended up, when he tried to get Hogan with the cast, he ended up hitting Paul Orndorff, man. I was just like, oh my gosh, man, this dude here.
But Orndorff, man, he definitely deserves to be in there, man. He definitely,
he does, man. Yeah, he does. He will always be remembered for that cast, though.
He deserves to be in there, man.
There's no doubt about that.
All right, so next on the list, man, we got Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, who's inducted by Jerry the King Lawler.
Okay.
Man, now this guy, see here, I remember this guy. You probably remember this guy back when he was in Memphis and way back then. I remember him when he was Hart Foundation and all that. And I ain't talking about the pink and black. I'm talking about the early years of the Hart Foundation, man. When when Brett was wearing the silver aviator shades, man, before he wore the pink shades. Them years, man. But Jimmy Hart, man, that doggone megaphone, he wouldn't shut up and he had all his little high squeaky voice. Let me tell you something, baby. Man, Jimmy Hart and the Foundation, man. Let me tell you something, baby. That was him, man. I was this little pipsqueak choco boy. And then it was always getting interfering in matches, and just he was a mess, man. This guy was. But what are some of your memories of Jimmy Hart, man?
Man, like you said, that mouth, man, and he was real at the time. At the time, he was when he went to the WWE. Of course, Jim Cornette took a lot from him. Yeah. But when he went up there, he had the megaphone. And I'm like, okay, he has the megaphone. Jim Cornette has the tennis racket. And I remember him before, when he was over in Memphis, he really didn't use that megaphone until right before he had left. But yeah, most of my fun memories of him was over in Memphis. When he was pretty much leading Bill Dundee and people like that, Jerry Jarrett. This guy was just, man, he was always interfering in matches. He would hit you with anything, and he was always one of those guys that could squeak his way. Always was able to get out of the ring before you got a hold of him. He pretty much got on my nerve, and he would go in there with those shades. He would have those shades on, you would get his shades, but you didn't get him. So. There's a lot of things that I really, remember him for. I did not like that he became a fan favorite, became, fan favorite. I liked him more as a heel manager. So, those are my, the memories that I remember the most. Like when he first went there, he was a heel manager and up in the WWF. And he pretty much was against Hogan, pretty much against the Hart Foundation. He came against those guys, but when he became a fan favorite, man, I really didn't like him that much no more. I'm like, I don't really care for this people. Not this people, but I really don't care for this person no more. So, but yeah, he definitely, man, he definitely deserves to be in there. And like you said, he's another one of these guys, man. That's the first ballot Hall of Famer, man. One of these guys. When you think of the WWF, you're gonna think of Jim Cornette. I mean, not Jim Cornette.
Jimmy Hart, man.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart. You're gonna think of him, man.
And you know what's so crazy, man? His hair has still not changed after all these years, man.
Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah, because he was on Legends House a while back, man, and he still, has his hair the same exact way as he did way back then, man, which is crazy, man.
That is crazy. All right, man. Just a second. I got to sneeze, but I'm having
all right, man.
sinus problems.
All right, man. Melody McKee is in the building. Says hello from Guster Street. Hello to the best, Harry and Chris, my soul brothers. Charlotte Fan Fest in August. Add new guests every day. Add new guests every day. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys. Love you all. Hootie hoo. All right, Melody. Good to see you. And welcome, man. Welcome, man. It's been a while. But man, yeah, Jimmy Hart, man, he was something else, man. Jimmy was a sneaky little joker, man. That he would either choke you, attack you with a megaphone or something, and then later on in his career, man, he hooked up with Hogan, man. We had no idea, but back then he was cool with Hogan. Nobody had no idea, but him and Hogan are like tighter than underwear on butt cheeks, man.
No doubt.
I mean, they are tight, man. They are tight, man, and they're good friends, man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and that's why when Hogan came to WCW back in '90, whatever it was, Jimmy Hart was there with him. Jumping around, 95. Jumping around and all excited because he was like, okay, me and Hogan, we were cool, but now y'all actually get to see something y'all would have never seen, Jimmy Hart and Hogan, and he's bouncing around happy and everything, and he pretty much followed Hogan's career all the way till he turned and went to the NWO, man. And that's when he basically was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to do my own thing, whatever. I'm going to take more of a backstage role. And that's what he's been doing, man. So Jimmy Hart, class of 2005, man.
Yeah, got all the accolades he deserved, man. Everything that was coming to him, he got. And Jimmy Hart made a lot of money in the business, man. He made a lot of money in the business. But yeah, he deserved every bit of it. And I mean, even Jim Cornette definitely will tell you that. He learned a lot from him. And Jim Cornette, I mean, the people that really helped him in the business, he definitely is going to give credit to. And I'm pretty sure Jimmy Hart is one of those guys. All right, man. Okay, Chris, go on to the next.
Next we got Nikolai Volkov, man, the other Russian, man. I always wondered.
Did you pass Orndorff?
Oh, yeah, okay. It's Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, who was brought in by Bobby the Brain, and and man, Mr. Wonderful, boy, this guy. I just couldn't stand this guy, man. He thought he had the best body in the world, man. There's no doubt, man.
No doubt.
But he really didn't. His body was really average for that time. For that time frame, he was in the business.
Yeah,
it was nothing that really stood out about him. Nothing that really just was like, ooh. He wasn't your man, Harry. He wasn't no Tony Atlas.
Oh heck, no, he wasn't no Tony Atlas.
But
man.
He was a heck of a competitor, a heck of a wrestler. That you cannot deny.
Oh yeah.
And when he put that power drive on you, boy, you wasn't getting up, man. I don't care what you did. You was done, man.
Yeah. My thing with Paul Orndorff, I didn't like him. Never liked him. And I remember when he was taking out Jimmy Snuka at one time. Jimmy Snuka was one of my favorites at one time, and this was back in 1979. Jimmy Snuka was in the Mid-Atlantic. I preferred him to be a singles competitor, but there was so many people that was pretty much in front of him as far as the champions over there in the Mid-Atlantic area. You had Roddy Piper, the United States heavyweight champion. You had who was the Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champion was Ric Flair. You had Ricky Steamboat, the Mid-Atlantic television champion. You had the the tag team champions was the Anderson brothers. So there was people ahead of him. And Jimmy Snuka came. Jimmy Snuka came into the region, man, doing his thing, very explosive. Everybody was just shocked at this guy, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. And we was used to Ricky Steamboat coming off the rope, doing that flying body block.
Yeah. But
Jimmy Snuka coming over, diving more than half, sometimes more than over half of the ring. And doing that Superfly, the Superfly, just the splash.
Yeah, splash. Yeah.
So I mean, he was just incredible, man, and had the body, just built like crazy. Paul Orndorff came there and looked like he should have been a jobber when it boils down to it.
Oh,
you know, I'm looking at him. He's in these singles matches, and I'm like, just before all the muscles, man. This is before the muscles. Next thing you know, he's in a tag team with Jimmy Snuka. And they beat the Anderson brothers. They took the titles from the Anderson brothers. But I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, man, but that was an incredible tag team. But Jimmy Snuka carried the tag team. You know, he carried that tag team. Mm-hmm. He was like Bobby Eaton to Dennis Condrey. Even though Dennis Condrey was a great wrestler, Bobby Eaton was the standout in that. You know, Jimmy Snuka was the standout, man. He was the one, you know, that really brought your attention to that tag team. But they was an incredible tag team. They held those belts for a good while, man.
Wow.
And you know, next thing you know, Paul Orndorff, after the tag team was over, Paul Orndorff started traveling different parts of the country, and then they ended up in the WWE, and he started building that body. You know, he started building that body up there. And next thing you know, he's posing all the time, and like you said, Chris, there was nothing really that stood out because at that time, man, if you're gonna sit there and pretty much pose and act like you got the greatest body in the business, you had a lot to live up to. You know, the standard was Tony Atlas, like you said. It was, it was Tony Atlas. Yeah. Then you look at people, other muscle man that was in the business, Billy Jack Haynes.
Man.
You know, Lex Luger had just came into the business around that time when Paul Orndorff was doing that. Lex Luger had just came in. You had man. Like I said, you know, you had Hulk, Tony Atlas, Hulk, Lex Luger, Billy Jack Haynes. You had you had a few other guys, man, that was muscled up like that too. So when he was doing that, it wasn't nothing impressive about it. It really wasn't. It was like, oh, okay, this guy's posing. You know, he's trying to show off his muscles. Of course, Rick Rude did that. Rick Rude had came in a couple years after. Probably around, a little bit after that time, because Rick Rude and Manny Fernandez was they was in the NWA. They was the NWA World Tag Team Champions at that time. Rick Rude was posing, but Rick Rude's muscles was more impressive than Paul Orndorff at the time. So I was just like, and the guy he was going up against, Hulk Hogan, had a great body. Hulk Hogan had a better body when he was a heel back when Freddie Blassie was Yeah, he had a better body than he had when he was, world champ. Hulk Hogan was, doing, still posing and everything. But Hulk Hogan's body was more impressive when he was a heel with Freddie Blassie. It's kind of like he cut back on his working out, man. I mean, he was very impressive, Chris. Let's see. And then, I thought about, superstar Billy Graham. It went back to old muscle man. I'm like, okay, Paul Orndorff, you got a lot to live up to, man. Superstar Billy Graham, Ivan Putski even had an impressive body. So I'm like, Putski, was just, he was still there, but wasn't, he wasn't one of these guys that they marketed like they used to, but he was still around. So I'm like, man, you got a lot to live up to. You up there here posing and everything. I'm like, man, I'm not impressed. I am not impressed.
But what do you think about his wrestling, though, man?
His wrestling, man, his wrestling was very good. He was a lot better wrestler in 85. In 84, 85, 86, that run up there in the WWE, incredible wrestler. Yeah. I mean, he had turned into somebody that I never thought he would be. I'm like, this guy's always gonna be a jobber. He's not gonna be anything special. Jimmy Snuka carried him. And speaking of bodies, Jimmy Snuka had an incredible body, man. He was.
That's what I've heard, man. Yeah,
man. Jimmy Snuka was goodness, man. That Joker was.
That's what I heard, man. That's what
he was cut. And Ricky Steamboat was one of those guys too that had a great body. Ricky Steamboat, Jimmy Snuka, man. But those guys was incredibly cut. But Paul Orndorff, tried to get into that realm or whatever, and I give it to him for working hard. But hey, more impressive was the hard work that he did on his body, not on his body, on his in-ring work. This guy went from Denny Brown, man, into dang old Bret Hart. I'm like, what is this, man? This guy can actually wrestle, man. This guy is taking people apart in the ring. And I mean, ring psychology. I mean, being able to, he become this technical, this guy he became technical, and I'm like, wow, incredible. So yeah, so his in-ring work was really something to see. And yeah, he did have some muscle, but nothing, like you said, nothing special. But yeah, he definitely deserved to be there, man. No ins, ands, or buts about it. Deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, straight up. What's up, Robert Brown, Lafayette, Indiana, in the building? What's happening, y'all?
What's happening, Robert
man,
Brown?
Goodness sake. Well, I'm going to take some cold medicine in a little bit. Not cold medicine, allergy medicine. But yeah, but no doubt, he definitely deserved to be there, Chris. Straight up.
All right,
Mr. Wonderful.
All right, next we got, man, the Russian, man, Nikolai Volkov, man.
All right, Nikolai.
Man, I always wondered, man, what would happen if him or Ivan or Nikita will ever hook up, man. What would happen, man?
Yeah.
Oh, if they became a faction or something, you know what I'm saying? That's what my mind was thinking. I'm like, why these guys ain't hooked up, man? Why they ain't, why these guys ain't done something? You know what I'm saying? Why these guys haven't gotten together, man? Why these guys haven't, become a team or something, man? Why these, why you got all these Russians, man? They need to be together, man.
I used to think that too, man. But
Nikolai, be a superpower, man. I
did like Nikolai, but man, it's like Nikita overshadowed him so much.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Nikita was so ferocious, and Ivan was too. Ivan was incredible, man.
Yeah, he was, man. And it was crazy because Ivan was up there. Ivan was in the WWF.
Yeah, he was.
WWE,
yeah, he never really hooked up with Nikolai.
It might have been before Nikolai's time, man, when Ivan was up there, but still, man.
They was up there at the same time at one time.
Oh, yeah. They were? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
They never hooked up. Yeah.
And and that's something that they never did in WWE, man. You never had two of the same type of things going on in WWE, man.
Yeah, I didn't understand that when he was up there.
You never had what's the word? You never had two Indians. You never had two I don't know. What's the word? Never had two Indians. You never had two Italians or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because we talked about Chief Jay Strongbow. He's only a Native American up there, man.
Yeah. I was surprised that him and Mybia never teamed up. Both of them being chiefs. Even though Mybia was not, he wasn't Indian. He
Native American,
yeah. But I was like, why don't they ever team them up? Why don't they team Nikolai Volkov up with, with Ivan Koloff? I didn't understand that. I do think they did team up on a couple house shows. I do remember that. Reading that in the wrestling books or wrestling magazines. Reading that in the papers or whatever. I do remember that. But I think they actually did that in the AWA. I don't think they did it in the WWF. WWF. They did it in the AWA. They teamed up with each other, but that's the only time Nikolai ever had interactions with with Ivan Koloff, straight up. But yeah, I do remember him teaming up with the German Baron von Raschke. But Nikolai, like I said, he did that too in the AWA. And Baron von Raschke. Speaking of Baron von Raschke, why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? Man, he should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't think he's in there. Now we might come across that.
I don't know if he's in there or not, man.
Yeah, he could be in there.
Yeah, Robert Brown says, "Oh, do y'all watch alongs with pay-per-views rather than TNA? Whether it's yeah, we do pay-per-views, Robert. We did the last one we did was AEW, man.
Yeah, the AEW pay-per-view that just passed, man. We just did that. So yeah, we definitely do that. We always streaming on these pay-per-views. So Robert, you gotta check that out, man. Check it out when we do it. Now we don't do the TNA things. We haven't done those.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Chris never has a chance to really watch it because Chris don't have the channel no more since he moved. So he never really gets to watch it. I watch it every now and then, but I don't know if they're, I just don't really have the time to really take the time to watch a lot of their shows. And hey, so we're not familiar with all the guys over there. We know who they are, a lot of them, but we're not familiar. We don't get to see those guys a lot. So
yeah.
So we don't bother buying any pay-per-views. But yeah, we always do the WWE. We always do every one of their premium shows or pay-per-views, whatever you want to call it. And we get a lot of the AEW pay-per-views. We did skip a few of them there, but we went back to this last one because like we saw with the like 2 in a row, they just really wasn't that good. And we like, wait a minute. And so we skipped a few of them. Then we went back. All right. So yeah, but Nikolai Volkov definitely one of these guys that deserve to be in the, in the Hall of Fame. All right, the next guy, man, is somebody that you really admire a lot, Chris.
Oh man, yeah, this guy here, man. Hey, now what do you think about this guy here, man? This guy, Iron Sheik, man. Iron Sheik, man. And like I said, I didn't think, I would like Iron Sheik the way I like him, man. But Sheik was all right, man. And especially when I started understanding his background and really looking into the individual and who he was. And Harry was talking about Sheik wasn't no wrestler. Sheik wasn't no wrestler. I was like, you don't know Iron Sheik. He's like, Sheik, all he did, camel clutch kick and spit on the flag and cuss out Americans. He ain't no wrestler. I'm like,
look, I couldn't stand. I'm like,
Harry, go back and look at this man's history. This man will tie you in a knot. Harry was like, he ain't no wrestler. And then you watched it and you were like, oh.
Well, you know what, Chris? I saw him ever since the 70s. And I did not pay attention. He was so volatile toward the American public. He was so volatile that I really didn't pay attention to him. I paid attention to him, but I never paid attention to his wrestling ability. Now, one thing I can say, after really seeing that, and even before that, and I'm gonna tell you when I really stopped liking this guy. He got fat. That big gut. Iron Sheik back in 1979, 78 is when I first saw him, when he first came around. 78, he was in Florida. I think he was in Georgia, then Mid-Atlantic in 1979, up until like 81, 82. And then next thing you know, he's in the WWE. And in my opinion, now he went up to the WWE and then he came back. He went to Georgia and then he came back up there and beat Bob Backlund. Was at 82 when he beat Bob Backlund. No, 83, 84 when he beat Backlund.
Yeah, 84, yeah.
I didn't think the WWE fit him. That the new WWE, it didn't fit him. Now he beat Backlund, but that WWE back then fit him. I thought he was a good wrestler now because he always was able to hold his own against the best technical wrestlers in Mid-Atlantic, Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Mr. Wrestling 2s, the Ricky Steamboats. He was able to hold his own, man, and wrestle those guys. Roddy Piper, he was able to get in there and do a lot of things. And he was wrestling. When I think back to it, because I thought back to it, because not just that documentary. I thought back to his matches. I can remember his matches. They fondly, I could fondly recall them. But only thing that really, the things that stood out to me before that was he used to, with the
gloves, the Persian gloves,
man, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, and he was really in shape. He was slim, didn't have that big fat stomach. And then next thing you know, he ended up with that gut. I didn't like him before that, but then I really hated him when he had that gut. And I'm like, this guy up here working out with these clubs. I was a high school athlete at that time. He's working out with these clubs all the time, and he's calling out these guys and telling them they can't do it. That's what really pissed me off about it. You can't do the doggone Persian clubs. And they couldn't do it. So that really, took a lot away from his wrestling to me. But when you talked about that, and I went and watched that documentary, I started thinking back to the matches, and I finally could recall the matches. And I remember the matches in their entirety, man. I'm like thinking back to all the great matches that he had. I'm like, he was a very good wrestler. He always held his own. You think somebody got him, man? I mean, you went technical. If you started brawling, like I said, he would brawl with you just a little bit, but he would tie you up. He would tie you up. You brawling, he would brawl just a little bit to throw you off your game. And then, like say, you brawling, you say, I can't take this guy out. And then next thing you know, he's tying you up. So he was a great wrestler, man. He was able to do a lot of things in the business. He was just one of these one of these jokers, man, that when you thought about wrestling, you had to throw the Iron Sheik in there. Not just because he was out here, spitting at Americans, down in our flag and up there talking about Tehran, and then doing the club. You had to think about him as a wrestler, man. He was very incredible. And when it boils down to it, Chris, when it happened, I remember when he beat Bob Backlund. I saw the match. I wasn't surprised that he beat Bob Backlund. Wasn't surprised at all. That he was the guy who actually beat him. So, when I think about it, and after you talking about how he can match up with Bob Backlund, I really never thought about him as this technical wrestler, and until after you said something about it, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, he definitely was this technical, a technical classic wrestler, man. This catchy can wrestler, this Greek, the Greek style of wrestling. He definitely had that down pat. But I did not think about it because I had so much, everything else overrode that, man. It really did. When you thought about Iron Sheik, you think about everything. First thing that used to come in my mind was the clubs, the Persian clubs. And I do remember him having this. I remember him having a slim, muscular build, not really very built or anything. He did not focus on that, but he had a slim, muscular type build, hard body. You could tell, and he, doing those clubs. I'm like, okay. But when he got that gut, now I didn't realize he had got on drugs and started doing all that stuff. I had no clue, man. I had no clue. But when I look at his life story, man, I'm like, okay, great guy, just got caught up in the wrong kind of deal, man. Dealing with things that a lot of wrestlers deal with. But yeah, Iron Sheik, incredible. And deserved everything that he got, man. He really did. I was surprised. And you know what? I was surprised that Hulk Hogan beat him. In my opinion, Hulk Hogan never, in the NWA, Hulk Hogan wouldn't have never beat Iron Sheik. And that's one thing, too, that I thought about. I was thinking about it at that time, but I was thinking about when you were talking to me and I go back, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Hulk Hogan wouldn't have never beat this guy. It was hard to beat him, man. It was. It was hard to take him out. Anybody that beat him, you had to be an incredible, you had to be like a Bret Hart type guy to beat him. You had to be a Kurt Angle type guy to beat him. A Ric Flair. You had to have that ring psychology. Not saying Hogan didn't have ring psychology, but you had to be a technical guy that that didn't just rely on.
Yeah, you had to have everything. You had to have everything.
You had to have everything to beat him. I did not see Iron Sheik lose too many matches back in the day. So I was in stunned silence when Hogan beat him. But I'm not surprised that Hogan beat him with the direction that the company went, because the company was going in that direction before. So I wasn't surprised that Hogan beat him then. But I'm like, Hogan can't beat this guy. And when if you want to think about it in realism terms, Hogan can't beat him. That's why Vern Gagne said go up there. Vern Gagne wanted him to break his legs because Vern Gagne know he could. Vern Gagne he could. Vern Gagne knew that he could tie this guy up. He knew that that he could do whatever he wanted to do with Hogan in the ring. And when it boils down to it, the classic is was Hulk Hogan strong enough to get out of the moves and things like that Iron Sheik would put on him? No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Iron Sheik was stronger than Hulk Hogan.
Even though it didn't look it.
Exactly. He was one of the strongest wrestlers in the world at that time. I mean, only wrestlers that was stronger than Iron Sheik at that time was probably Ken Patera, Tony Atlas. Those and Road Warrior Animal. Those probably the only guys that was stronger than him. And you know what? I'm not sure if they could have maneuvered themselves out of the positions, the moves that Iron Sheik will put you in. I don't even know if they could have got out of the tie-ups when it boils down to it. That guy was that's saying something, man. Yeah, that guy was just flat out strong, man. So yeah, he could have did whatever he wanted to with Hogan. But I was shocked. But it's funny though. I didn't know that. I knew it years later, that Vern Gagne wanted him to do that. But I was stunned that Hogan actually beat him. Because back then, hey, kayfabe, hey, that still was going on. That still was alive. We wasn't sure if it was, if it was real or if it was scripted. So, man, yeah, I still was stunned that he beat him because I'm like, man, not a lot of guys beat this guy. So crazy, incredible. So he definitely deserved to be in there, Chris.
Yeah, Robert Brown was talking. Robert Brown said, "I'm talking about pay-per-views from back in the day, like 04 and so on."
No, we've done a few. We've done a
few, not a lot. We've done a few, not a lot.
But yeah, I think we need to go back and start doing those.
Yeah.
And you know what? We can turn off the sound, and I think we're just gonna have to do video because I don't know if we can do it live. Do video, and we could put the video up in the corner, kind of like Chris. I did the thing with Darby Allin falling off the chairs, and you just freaked out. But we definitely can do that. We can put the video in the corner. We can have it actually playing, but we got to turn the sound all the way down, so we won't get copyrighted on that. And Chris and I can talk about it, or we can just come on and talk about it without that. We've done that before. But yeah, we definitely would like to get back to doing that and doing the Clash of Champions and doing some of those old pay-per-views, man. We definitely would like to do that because a lot of fans, man, I think a lot of people out there would like to hear our perspective on those old pay-per-views, man.
Hold on now, wait a minute. Now, speaking of old, Robert Brown said these wrestling companies, whether it's WWE, TNA, or ROH, or NWA, or AEW, need to sign Ken Shamrock.
Why, man?
No. Why? Why? What value does he bring any company?
That's true.
At this point.
Yeah.
What value?
Back in the day, of course.
Back in the day, yes. But at this point in time, what value does he bring? I don't see any, Robert. Let me know. I may be wrong. Let me know though. Let me know.
Yeah, Robert. I mean, hey, not that's not bad for you. Yeah. Think of that. I mean, Ken Shamrock was one of the toughest guys. Not just in wrestling, MMA, one of the toughest guys that's ever walking, man. As far as that's ever walked in the wrestling ring, there's no way that's bust about.
He was a bad boy, man. That joker.
Oof. But now, this guy basically 60 years old. Yeah, what value does he bring, man? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's around 60. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's older than me. Let me see how old Ken Shamrock is.
Shamrock got some age, boy. Yeah, Shamrock got some age on him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shamrock definitely got some age on him, man.
No, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, he's 60. He's 60. That's exactly February 11th, 1964. 60 years old.
He don't bring no value to no company.
So yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you want to bring him in as a consultant, as far as somebody who can get in there and tell these guys to work hard and everything, I mean, he's definitely going to get the respect in the locker room.
yeah, without a doubt, man.
If he doesn't, man, if he doesn't, then hey, it's going to be some serious repercussions. But in today's environment, would these kids listen? Would they listen to like when we was kids, like back when me and Chris's day? No, back me and Chris would be like, yes sir, yes sir. And I mean, just from the guy's voice, just the guy screaming at us and telling us, he can talk about all the things that he did. We're going to do everything we can to toughen up and be like that. And that's how we were back when we was growing up.
Yeah.
Our football coaches, man, they give us these stories, they give us these pep talks, and man, you ready to run through a brick wall. But is these wrestlers ready to do that? Can you see Orange Cassidy doing that? Can you see the Young Bucks doing that? No.
Yeah,
they're gonna buck you, man. They're not gonna do it. They're gonna be like, I don't have to do this. I can go out there and bounce on my trampoline a little bit and then get into the ring and do the same thing that I'm doing. And jump over the top rope and get the same response. That's the way this generation of wrestlers look at it. Sadly, but it's true.
Yeah, right, man.
Chris, I'm gonna go get some allergy medicine, man. I'll be right back, and we'll start on that next. We'll start on that next.
2008. No. Wait a minute. No. Hold on. Yeah, 2007. 2007 is up next. We got Hold on. Matthew Lincoln on Facebook says, "Who's the greatest wrestler of all time?" For me, it goes Cena, Rock, Triple H, and Flair and Orton. Okay. Got to think about that, Matthew. I'm not too sure. I really haven't thought about that, man. But we'll definitely get on that and let you know. Robert Brown says, "Oh damn, yeah, he's got some age on him, man. He's got some age on him." So here we go on class of 2007, Hall of Fame. WWE Hall of Fame class of 2007 happened on March 31st, 2007 in Detroit, Michigan at the Fox Theater. All right, and the Hall of Fame class okay, the Hall of Fame class goes as the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, inducted by Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, his two sons. All right, next we have Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, and we talked about that earlier in the day. Well, earlier in part one, we wasn't too sure if Kurt was in the Hall of Fame, but yes, he is in the Hall of Fame. And he was inducted by another Hall of Famer, baseball Hall of Famer, Wade Boggs. All right, next we had Jerry the King Lawler, who was inducted by William Shatner from Star Trek, the TV series back in the day. Then we have one of Harry's guys, Nick Botwinkle, who was inducted by Bobby the Brain Heenan. Then you have Mr. Fuji, who was inducted by the Beach Bum, Don Morocco. Then we have the original Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, but the original Sheik, who was inducted by Rob Van Dam and his nephew, Sabu. Then you have the JR Jim Ross, and he was inducted by Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then you have some more Harry's boys, man, part of that Samoan dynasty, the Wild Samoans, Alpha and Sika, who were inducted by Samu and Matt Anoy. Okay, man.
All right, Chris. Yeah, before we get into that, man. Hey, yeah, Chris. So you got everybody. You ran down everybody on this day.
Yeah.
Okay, next class. But yeah, let's go ahead and circle back, man, to Matthew Lincoln. Let's see what he said. He says, "Who's the greatest wrestler of all time?" For me, it goes Cena, Rock, Triple H, and Flair, Randy Orton. Well, I do like your list. I definitely like your list, Matthew Lincoln. You know, if you got to look at when we're wrestling. It's kind of like, Chris and Chris, we sit here and say, who's the greatest rapper of all time? Okay, with rap music, you got to look at two different sides of the spectrum. There's two different sides. You got all around, who's just a great rapper, and then you have a lyricist. When I look at wrestlers, when I look at wrestling, I look at who's the best technical wrestler, a skillful wrestler, who has the best skills. Then I look at who's the best overall wrestler, just the best wrestler in the business. So I look at it in three different categories when you boil down to it. The fan favorites, the guys that really rock the crowd, that really, the entertainers. So I look at those three different aspects: the all around, the entertainers, and I look at the technical, the complex wrestlers, the skillful guys. But when it boils down to it, it's all around. Who's all around? Who had all of that? And so the number one wrestler, which you already have him in your list, but number one, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Ric Flair. Number one, definitely all around. He could do it all, man. He just had it. He just had that. So overall, I gotta say Ric Flair is number one. Number one as far as all around. Number two, all around. Wow, man. Wow. That right there, that is a biggie.
That's why I said I'd get back to him on that.
Yeah, number two, all around. I have to say somebody who just now retired, man. Just retired. I'm gonna say Sting when it boils down to it. He never went to the WWE. But
he did.
I mean, no, he went to WWE for a short time. I'm sorry. But at his peak, he didn't go to the WWE. And
that was a mistake, man. That was
a big mistake. Man. But all around, if you take the retirement that he had, if he did not retire at that time, went to the WWE, didn't get hurt, he would be that number two would be solidified. I believe it would be solidified. He had everything. He could entertain the crowd. Not the greatest talker, but he definitely can talk. But he had everything. So even though probably 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have put him at number 2. But I think back to his career from the start to the beginning, I got to put him at number 2 as far as all around. Number 3, man. Number 3 all around. Goodness sake, man, that is really a hard one, man, when it boils down to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with Hulk Hogan at number 3. I'm gonna go and go with Hogan number 3 all around. He just just like Ric Flair, he just had it all. He actually could do it. Yeah, he actually can wrestle when it boiled down to it. There's things that he did over in Japan. There's things he did in the AWA that definitely showed that he could wrestle. And when he was in NWA, if you go back and look at his clips against Tony Atlas in the WWE back in 1981, when he was in that feud with Atlas, definitely put on a lot of wrestling moves. So you got to put him around number 3.
And then you want to talk about wrestling. New Japan. He was over in New Japan, boy.
Yeah. He did incredible things over there, but
I ain't never seen nothing like that. Boy, I was like, Hogan can actually what?
Yeah, and number 4, man, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Dusty Rhodes. Number 4 overall, Dusty Rhodes, definitely number 4. Randy Orton, I'll put Randy Orton number 5. I'm gonna put Randy Orton number 5. Incredible, man. A lot of the things that he's able to do, the things that he's already done in the business. When it boils down to it, Randy Orton, he probably jump up to my number 3, number 2 and number 3. He's incredible, man. He's incredible. Don't get the dude that he deserves. And of course, he's pretty good on the mic, but he does not have flair. He does not have the charisma of a Flair of a Hulk Hogan. But if you want to go overall entertainer, you got to go with you go Ric Flair on that. I'm gonna go Hulk Hogan, and I'm gonna go Rock. Maybe Rock number 2. But overall, I'm gonna go Nature Boy Ric Flair. But Hulk Hogan was able to capitalize on everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch that up. I'm gonna go and go with Hogan. Then I'm gonna go Flair number 2. Now, as far as technical wrestler, I'm going Dory Funk Jr. I'm going Bret Hart. No, Dory Funk Jr. Bob Backlund, Bret Hart, Nick Botwinkle, which is it in the next list here. Nick Botwinkle, and who will be 5, Chris?
I don't know, but it's funny you bring up Nick Botwinkle but Nick Botwinkle's in the Hall of Fame class, Harry, and you're kind of getting sidetracked. So let's get back to it, man.
Let's go, man.
That's why I wanted to save that for later, man. We can do a whole nother show on that, man.
No. Well, I wanted to get that in from Matthew, man. Hey, he actually had a question on it, so I want to roll with it. Let's go ahead and roll, man.
All right, man. So the first in this 2007 class, man, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Harry.
Okay.
And he was inducted by his sons, Cody and Dustin. You want to go ahead on there, Harry? Talking about the son of a plumber. You never know.
Man.
275 pounds of blue-eyed soul.
Before we even finish, man, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, the man Dusty Rhodes, he definitely deserved to be in. Just what can you say about Dusty Rhodes? When I first encountered Dusty Rhodes, I was amazed. Okay, that was back in the early to mid 70s when I first saw him, and I was just flipping stunned, and I was like, why isn't this guy the world heavyweight champion? Of course, you had Jack Briscoe at the time when I first saw him. Jack Briscoe was the world heavyweight champion from 1973 to 1975. And that was during that time, was the first time I saw Dusty Rhodes. Now, I'm like, maybe they're being a little biased against him. He's not getting the shots because he was a tag team partner of Dick Murdoch, and everybody hated him for a long time, when he was the Outlaws. Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes riding again. But when I first saw Dusty Rhodes, wasn't as big. He was still, kind of chubby or whatever, but man, this guy, the elbows and elbow smashes and everything, man, just tough guy in the ring. Just looked unstoppable. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But my aunts and uncles and everything, they were like, well, they compared him to Johnny Valentine the first time I seen him. I was like, Dusty Rhodes, the elbow. I thought the elbow was the greatest thing I ever seen. First time, he was the first guy I saw that used it over and over again. But like, well, they said he's pretty good. I saw him. He was, he would come on TV and he would smash through. Through the blocks, the wooden boards. He would smash through them. And they was like, they came to me and said, well, Johnny Valentine break bricks with his elbow. I'm like, huh? Great Valentine's daddy. Crazy, and man, when I seen this Great Valentine's daddy, Johnny Valentine, the hardest elbow in the business. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'll be right back, man. Keep going, man.
That joke was a killer.
You got the list brought up? I got to step off for a minute.
Oh, okay. No, I ain't got the list brought up, man. Let's see. I do have it, but yeah, give me just a second. All right, man. But you can go ahead. Go ahead. And I'll still be talking about Dusty. I only want to talk about a minute about him. But yeah, Dusty, incredible, man. I was just like, this dude here, you know, and then when you heard him talk, he had all the flair. You didn't have to even hear him talk. He just entertained you so much in the ring at that time. And back in the 70s, you know, I was just he would just capitulate you as far as what he did in the ring. You just sitting there and just looking at him like, wow. Even when he was getting beat up and he was getting beat up and he's still in there, he's whining. When I remember Terry Funk had attacked him. You know, the times Terry Funk would attack him, those guys would attack him, and Terry Funk would have his henchmen and whatever. They couldn't stand Dusty Rhodes. They would call him an egg-sucking dog and all that. Ernie Ladd and all those guys would attack him. And Dusty Rhodes in there just crying and whining and just fighting. He just captured you. This is before you even talked, man. You just amazed. You're sitting there, you're amazed at this guy. You're like, wow, man. But yeah, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, definitely a first class guy, man. First ballot Hall of Famer and one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and will always be remembered, you know, in wrestling. Even though later on in his career, he did go to the WWE, and then he was wearing the polka dots and everything, which I thought was very disrespectful. I couldn't stand it. I did get to the point where I didn't like Dusty Rhodes later on in his career. I mean, well, in the late 70s, 79, 80, because he won, 81. I stopped liking him, I think, around the early 80s. When I became a teenager, I didn't like him as much because he was the first, you know, he won the world title before Ric Flair won it. And of course, Ric Flair became my favorite wrestler at that time, him and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So I wanted those guys to be the world champion ahead of Dusty Rhodes. But Dusty Rhodes definitely deserved it. You could tell back in the 70s that this guy was going to be a world champion, man. And he, like I said, he just was incredible, man. He was incredible. He maybe instead of being the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, he should have been called the Incredible Dusty Rhodes, the Amazing Dusty Rhodes. He should have had something. There's something else that should have been attached to the name Dusty Rhodes outside of Dusty Rhodes. It was just, he just, like I say, he was an amazing guy to see in that ring. And his son, you know, as much as I like Cody a lot, and I hope Cody finishes his story. I hope Cody gets that title. I would love to see Cody become the WWE champion. And, you know, hey, the WWE world champion, universal champion. You know, they talk about, they like to talk about, well, his daddy never got that belt. This is something that his daddy dreamed about. His daddy never got that belt. His daddy almost a couple times won it, won the title up in Madison Square Garden. But his daddy was not a full-time wrestler for the WWE. His daddy worked for Florida Championship Wrestling. He just was such a, you know, he was a traveler. He was such a big name even before the internet, man. Before we had the social media thing, he was just so big. From, you know, the papers talking about him, the newspapers, the magazines and everything, that he was able to travel the world and everybody wanted to see him. But Dusty Rhodes was able to go up there to New York and almost win that World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship, that regional championship, because it was a regional championship belt at that time. You know, and he almost got that title. Now, do I think he would have left Florida and went up to New York and did that and defended that title? I don't think so. Maybe he would have. He might have went back from Florida to New York. So it might have. I think it would have been really good if he would have got that title. But yeah, he almost won it on a couple of occasions. Now, but you know, as far as them saying, okay, he never got that belt or whatever, but that belt was not as big as the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And Dusty Rhodes did win that on a couple of occasions. And that was a huge title. The NWA World Heavyweight Championship was the most important title up until around 1984, 1985. It was the biggest championship in the world. I could say up until 1985, you know, even though Hulk Hogan had it, won it in 84, up until 85, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship was the most recognized belt, and Dusty Rhodes held that twice, and it definitely was bigger than that WWE regional title at that time. It's just the WWE region was the biggest region in the country because it's in New York City, man. It's in New York, you know, in New York State, and up around all those you know, Boston and all those areas that's around there, and it went down to Washington. But that was the biggest region in the country, so it would have been great if he would have won that title. But yeah, the biggest title in the world he did win. That was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. But Dusty Rhodes definitely deserved to go in, man. Let me go ahead and see if we got some more. I don't know where Chris stopped on these comments, but yeah, I went back to my man Matthew Lincoln. All right, Robert Brown said, "Oh damn!" All right, a Facebook user said, "I love seeing Shamrock seeing beat by the bad boy Tito Ortiz." All right, so I'm pretty sure that's Matthew Lincoln who said that. All right, if not, like I said, I'll go to Facebook and I'll check that out. JL said, "Sorry, cannot stay, gotta work." I understand that. JL got to work. I definitely understand that. JL said, "So sorry, I am not going to be able to see what we want to talk about. See you guys later, and don't think I forgot about the bomb Eagles and pretend putrid Panthers." I hear you, JL. AJ Skills, hey, Harry and Chris, the greatest wrestler of all time is The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. A great list. AJ Skills, definitely great list. AJ Skills, hey, Harry and Chris, the greatest wrestler of all time is The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, also Chris Benoit. Definitely, man. You got to throw Shawn Michaels in there. Hey, Chris Benoit, I know he done what he done, but hey, you definitely got to give him his accolades for everything that he done in the ring, man. He was able to put together some great things in the ring. So he did a lot of great things in the ring. So straight up, man, on that, great wrestler. All right, my man Mag Magnum in the house. Mag says, "Greetings, guys. When did he start using the name American Dream Dusty Rhodes?" Man, I do not know. Mag, he had to start doing that. That had to be in the 80s when he started using that, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. Was that around 70? It had to be anywhere from 79 to 81 when he started doing it. I'm not exactly sure when he started using that. Mag, you definitely gonna have to tell me that. You definitely gonna have to tell me that. Because that's one thing I do not know. I know a lot about wrestling, but I do not know when the American Dream Dusty Rhodes came into play, when he started using that name. Now I can look it up. But man, hey, if you want to volunteer that information, I definitely appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate it if you want to volunteer that information when he started calling himself the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. Wow, man. Wow. Yeah, I'm still wondering when he started calling himself the American Dream. Because like back in the 70s, he definitely didn't call himself the American Dream. You know, I still looked at him as the outlaw Dusty Rhodes. So yeah, he definitely didn't call himself that. I know when he went to the Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling area, when he became full time in Mid Atlantic area, he was calling himself the American Dream. Well, he was calling himself that in Florida too. So that had to be around 1979, 1980 when he started calling himself that. Mag, had to be around that time. You know, because I remember Gordon Soley would basically say the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. Had to be 79 or 80. I could be wrong, but definitely around those years. But let me pull back up that Hall of Fame, guys. I'm just gonna have to go with it because Chris haven't got back yet. I'm sure he's gonna get back in just a little bit, man, a little bit, and maybe he'll have a little brief summary of what he want to talk about these guys in the Hall of Fame, man. But let's go ahead and let's see what year was on. All right, man, 2007. All right, man. Next, we had Mr. Perfect Kurt Heenan, and we talked about Kurt Heenan on the last show. The first part of this, yeah, Mr. Perfect Kurt Heenan in 2007 got inducted by Wade Boggs, and man, you talk about a great wrestler. And hey, he was better than his dad. Larry the Axe Heenan was a great wrestler. I definitely, man, admired Larry the Axe Heenan, but his son, Mr. Perfect Kurt Heenan, was incredible. And this is one instance that you can sit there and say, hey, the son was better than the dad. You know, you can't always say that in any sport, but this was one instance where he taught his son more than what he knew. And his son went, perfected his art alongside a lot of different other people that trained him. Vern Gagne's, the Nick Botwinkles, and people like that. That Kurt Heenan was, he took a lot from those guys. He grew up around those guys, and man, just an incredible wrestler. Kurt Heenan, man, did a lot of great things in Tennessee. Came over to WCW, did his thing there, won the World Heavyweight Championship in WCW. WWE did some incredible things. Never really got his just due in WWE. He should have been a WWE Universal Champion, a Heavyweight Champion, World Heavyweight Champion. They didn't have the Universal title at that time, but definitely should have been a World Champion in the WWE. Man, but yeah, Kurt Heenan is the first ballot Hall of Famer. There is no ins, ands, or buts about it. So, man, yeah, big ups to Kurt Heenan and Wade Boggs, man. Appreciate you inducting my man, Mr. Perfect Kurt Heenan. Yeah, great wrestler, man. One of the best technical wrestlers of all time. There's no doubt about it. Next, man, we have Jerry the King Lawler, William Shatner, inducted by William Shatner. Man, hey, William Shatner, Star Trek fame, man. This guy right here, hey, what else can you say? Jerry the King Lawler, made his mark over in Memphis, Tennessee. Pretty much Tennessee, ran up and down Tennessee, down that region, and just dominated. He dominated and went up to WWE and had a pretty good career up there too. And in the AWA, he did a lot of great things. Won an AWA World Heavyweight Championship. But Jerry the King Lawler definitely deserved to be in, man. I definitely got to give him all the accolades. He deserved everything that he's gotten, man. And Jerry the King Lawler still kicking today, man. Having some health problems, but Jerry the King Lawler definitely deserved. He definitely deserved it, and great on the microphone, man. Great commentator that he turned into. Yeah, he deserves everything, man. Jerry the King. He used to wear the crown. I had a little thing going back in the day. Who's actually worthy of wearing it? Is it Jerry the King Lawler or is it Ernie the Cat Ladd, the Big Cat Ladd? But both of them used to wear it, and I don't know why they never fought. They never fought to see who was really the king. But both of these guys, man, great wrestlers. I'm gonna go ahead. Jerry the King Lawler definitely deserved to be in, and Ernie the Cat Ladd got in, I think, on the first or second run. I know the second, the first year after Andre the Giant, I think Ernie Ladd was inducted, and man, Ernie the Cat Ladd, woo! But Jerry the King Lawler definitely deserved to wear that crown, man. Straight up, great wrestler. All right, next, man, we got Nick Botwinkle. He was inducted by Bobby Heenan. Nick Botwinkle. What can you say about Nick Botwinkle? I know a lot of people out here haven't seen Nick Botwinkle. Hey, if you haven't seen him, you need to go back, man. Go into the YouTube archives. Go, you got the network. Go into, you got Peacock. Go check out, some of the old AWA classics or whatever. But check out Nick Botwinkle. You talking about incredible, man. This guy can lock you up. He will lock you down. This guy is very strong, man. Very strong, very rugged. You talking about a man's man. This is what he was. Hey, definitely classic gentleman, man. But very strong. Just one of the hardest workers in the ring. And man, he made wrestling look good. Straight up. Nick Botwinkle deserves to be in. Glad that he's in. And hey, man, I hate that he's not with us now. But you're talking about somebody who can impart some wisdom to a lot of these wrestlers today. Nick Botwinkle, man, incredible wrestler. And he was inducted by Bobby Heenan, man. And Bobby Heenan has all the respect in the world. I have never heard a bad word about Nick. Never had heard a bad word about Nick Botwinkle, man. He's up there with the Flairs, man. The Bret Harts. The Shawn Michaels, he up there with the greatest technical wrestlers ever, man. He's another Dory Funk Jr., but Nick Botwinkle, incredible. All right, next, man, we had Mr. Fuji, inducted by Don Morocco. You haven't seen Mr. Fuji, go and look him up. Mr. Fuji was incredible, as a wrestler, as a manager, but I remember him mostly as a manager. I do remember his exploits as a wrestler, a tag team wrestler with Mr. Fuji, Mr. Saito. I used to hate those guys, but Mr. Fuji, very evil, sadistic type guy, man. As a wrestler, as a manager, incredible. I'd never forget him. And we did talk about the Sheik a little bit earlier. The Sheik was inducted by Rob Van Dam and Sabu. Sabu, and rest in peace to the Sheik. Man, the Sheik, incredible. Incredible. Like I said, very strong, and one of these guys, probably one of these guys, man. You would never, when it boils down to it, if the Sheik didn't want you to get out of his moves, you wouldn't get. Wait a minute. This is
no. That's original Sheik, boy. That's original Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, boy. That's original Sheik, boy. That's the crazy man, boy.
Yeah, this is the crazy. This Sheik right here, I couldn't stand watching him. I hated when he came to the Mid-Atlantic area. Actually, I hated him in wrestling. The Sheik will burn you up if you got the advantage of beating the Sheik. If you look like you was gonna win the match, you was gonna take the Sheik out. The Sheik was gonna throw fire on you. Now a lot of other people did it, but nobody did it as much as the Sheik. The Sheik was in his very you never could see it coming.
He was unpredictable, man. He was unpredictable.
You know, they would pull it out. You know, they'd be like, you know, they ready. The Sheik, man, like I say, he's sitting there, man. You just popping him upside the head, whap, 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 whap. You know, you just side arming him, and you know, pap, pap, pap. You just dogging him. The Sheik, next thing you know, man, he's going back. You think he's falling back? Next thing you know, pap. You know, fire all in your face and everything. I'm like, man, this guy is just flat out crazy, man. The Sheik was something nasty, man, nasty. And he would do this stuff to people like Bobo Brazil, which he had a long feud, man. I'm talking about feuds. And you talking about long storylines? I'm talking about a feud that went on for like 12, 13 years, man, that the Sheik went at it with Bobo Brazil. You know, Sheik even went at it with Abdullah the Butcher. And both of them very sadistic. The Sheik was just nasty, man. And just...
Yeah, he was, man.
God almighty, man. Never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like him, man. He was just one of these guys, man.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. Sheik was crazy. Matter of fact, his worst match, man, the match, they talk about it on I want to say Dark Side of the Ring. It was a ECW type promotion, but way like 1,000 times worse. It was like ECW, but 1,000 times worse. And not the Iron Sheik, but the original Sheik was in this match. At the time, he was maybe in his 50s or 60s at the time. He's in there wrestling. And man, when I tell you, the ring was covered in barbed wire. I forget the match. The ring was covered in barbed wire, and it basically blew up. And you had to get out of there, man. You had to get out of there. And you couldn't. And something happened, and timing was off, or something went wrong. And man, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. But Sheik was one of those Abdullah the Butcher bloodthirsty kind of guys, man.
Yeah, I know the match you're talking about, Chris.
He was something serious, boy. If you could think of Abdullah the Butcher, much blood as he like to shed, or Dean Ambrose, or Moxley, or whatever you want to call him. Think of those guys times 1,000.
Yeah.
That was the original Sheik, man. He would bleed just because it's a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys.
He was a nut, man.
When you think about him
and his nephew Sabu, the same exactly.
When you think about the Sheik, he's one of these guys that you would be afraid to fall asleep around. He's one of these guys, man, that you would be thinking like, hey, if you're homeless, you're in a homeless shelter, and he's in that homeless shelter too, that you want to keep your eyes open all the time. You want to, you don't want to go to sleep until you make sure he goes to sleep. Then you want to set your alarm for maybe 2 hours so you can wake up before he wakes up. Because the Sheik is one of these guys you would think, hey, that would come over and pretty much set you on fire, man. Maybe put the fireball in your mouth and set your whole body on fire. And enjoy it. And enjoy it while you burning up. Or take some barbed wire and pretty much be under your bed if you're in a bunk bed and pretty much just
tie you
down, slice you up with it. But that's the type of guy. That's the type of guy that you think about when you think about the Sheik. He was just sadistic, man.
Yeah, the original Sheik, man, there was nothing like him, man. It was nothing like him, man.
Yeah. All right, man. But yeah, I want you to go. Magnum had a question, Chris. He said, "Greetings, Guys, when did he start using the American Dream Dusty Rhodes? I was talking about Dusty Rhodes. I have no clue.
I don't know.
It has to be
already using
it has to be between 79 and 81, because back in the day, you used to call him the Outlaw Dusty Rhodes back in the 70s when I first started watching him.
He was already using it when I found out who he was, so I have no clue.
But I don't even know if you can look that up, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And AJ Scales is in the building. AJ says, "Hey Harry, since Paul Heyman's in WWE this year, 2024, should WWE put Dave Bautista in the Hall of Fame in 2024 this year?" Ooh.
They could.
They could, man, but I know he said he's going to be in a future class. But
yeah, I wouldn't have no problem with it. I definitely wouldn't have no problem with it, and I think the timing is good. You know, to put him in now, if they put him in now, or put him in the future. I'm glad they didn't put him in around 2018 or anything like 2017. I'm glad they didn't put him in 6-7 years ago. I would have been like, that's too early. He would have been one of those guys who shouldn't be in. But yeah, definitely now I have no problem. But you know, this class right here and the last class we did, I have no problem with any of these guys. They definitely deserve to go in. So we haven't came across anybody like that yet, Chris.
No, not yet. And then the next one we got good old JR, Mr. Jim Barbecue Ross, Sauce himself, man. Jim Ross. And he 100%. Was inducted by Stone Cold Steve Austin, his man.
Yes,
yeah, that was a no-brainer right there, man. Putting JR in there. That was a no-brainer, man. He definitely deserves to go in. I don't know why he would not go in, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, right here, look, the man almost ran WCW. It would have been him, and I would say WCW probably. I'm pretty sure probably would still be around if it was.
Be right back one more time, man.
Huh?
Be right back one more time.
All right, but yeah, Jim Ross would have ran WCW. You know, he almost got the job before Eric Bischoff had it. I guarantee you, WCW will still be around. Now, we would have had the NWO. Now, I don't think we would have had the NWO, but WCW still would be around, and I think they would be neck and neck with WWE. Straight up. If Jim Ross would have got that job, Jim Ross, right hand man of Vince McMahon. You know, this is a guy who still could run. You know, if anybody can run that company over there in WWE, Jim Ross could do it. Jim Ross is older now, so I don't think he will be up for the job. You know, if they, because they definitely gonna need somebody. Straight up, guys. You know, I just see too many cracks over there with Nick Khan. Nick Khan might end up being out of the company. You know, they definitely need management over there. Jim Ross definitely need to be there. But Jim Ross, yeah, definitely deserved to go back in. I mean, definitely deserved to get inducted in 2007. Stone Cold Steve Austin inducted him. Hey, you can't get a better induction than that from Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. But Jim Ross, 100%. All right, man. Samu and Matt and Noah, you know, they inducted the Wild Samoans, Alpha and Sika. Man, when you talk about the Wild Samoans, you got to look at teams like the Moondogs, you know, Spot and Rex. You got to look at teams like the Anderson brothers. You got to look at teams like the Mongols. You got to look at teams like the Road Warriors, man. The Road Warriors. You got to look at the Steiner brothers. The Samoans were tag team wrestling. That's what they were. That anytime you think about tag team wrestling, if you're an old school guy like me, you're a guy who's been around a long time and saw a lot of tag teams, you think of the Wild Samoans. And anytime I think about Samoan wrestlers, or anytime these Samoan wrestlers come up, and I don't care if it's from The Rock on down to Roman Reigns, on down to the Usos, or down to Tama Tonka, Solo Sikoa. Anytime a Samoan wrestler come up, the first wrestlers that I think of, the Wild Samoans. Every single time. I don't think Peter Maivia. I think the Wild Samoans. Anytime I see a Samoan wrestler or anybody from those islands, I think of the Wild Samoans before I think of any of them. They made that big of a impact. And man, those guys, you talking about tough, rugged, somebody that you do not want to walk up on in a dark alley, or you want to start something with. It's those two guys right there. I'm talking about Haku Ming. If you know him as Ming, you know him as Haku. You talk about Haku 2.0, it was those two guys right there. Incredible, man. Scary. And you talk about the tribal chief, he's either one of those guys, man. They're the tribal chief, and yeah, they the ones who put it off. They put it off and they make the tribal chief now. These guys are the authors of they're the authors. They are the ones. Of course, we look at Chief Peter Maivia, but when it boils down to it, it was these guys right here. But they have respect, and they're gonna put Chief Peter Maivia up there as the guys who is the leader of their whole pack. But these two right here, they're next in line, guys. Incredible, man. The Wild Samoans, these guys on another level. Alpha and Sika. Man, I have much respect for Alpha and Sika, even though I did not like them. I did not like them for a long time, but I had to see them. These are guys that you had to see, and these are guys that you wanted to be in the business. These are the guys because, hey, wrestling wouldn't been as good if we didn't have the Wild Samoans. No ends and buts about it. And they had to be in that tag team. They had to be in that tag team realm. I can't, like I say, I can't think of tag team wrestling, or I can't think of wrestling at all without thinking about the Wild Samoans. Man, they was incredible. And they definitely one of the top 10 tag teams of all time. And definitely in my list. And, you talking to a guy, you listening to a guy who's been watching the sport, man, for 50 years. But yeah, two of the top, they are two of the best guys as far as tag team wrestling that I've ever seen, the Wild Samoans. Straight up, man. These guys were just incredible. Man, what else can you say?
Them your boys, boy, Alpha and Sika, boy.
Hey, they're not my boys, man. But Alpha and Sika, like I just said, Chris, I don't know if you heard me. I just said, but everybody out here that's listening to me, I just said, I can't think of anytime that I see a Samoan wrestler, I don't care who it is, all the way from Rock, all the way down to Solo Sikoa. Rock, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, the Usos, everybody, Tama Tonga, let's see, who else, man, in that Yokozuna, any other these guys, man, that came from the islands, even Jimmy Snuka. First guys that I think of is Alpha and Sika. Those first guys. I don't think about Ming first. I don't think about Chief Peter Maivia first.
Oh, wow.
If I see a Samoan wrestler, I think about Alpha and Sika first.
That's saying something.
I think about those two first. The Wild Samoans. You talking about the tribal chief? It was either Alpha or Sika. I know Chief Peter Maivia is the one everybody points to. But as far as the high chief is either one of those two. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Alpha. And I mean, just incredible, man. And, the toughest guys I ever seen. Two of the toughest guys I ever seen. And, I put them, anytime you think about wrestling, a tag team wrestling, I put them up there with the Moondogs. I put them up there with the Road Warriors. I'll put them up there.
Moondogs. Wait a minute. Hold on. Whoa. Pump your brakes. Did you just say the Moondogs?
Yeah, man. The Moondogs. Spot and Rex.
The Moondogs were jobbers.
Man, look, you saw them as jobbers, Chris. You didn't see them before that. Remember, they had a career before that, Chris.
Why you talking about the Moondog? You might as well go ahead and say the Monkeys, man.
They had a career before that, Chris. Before you saw them in the WWE and they was jobbers. The WWE disrespected them, man. They disrespected the Moondogs.
This joker,
man. Just like Tony Atlas. Like you said, Tony Atlas was never anything to you. I got some stuff that I need to put it up in the group on the Facebook group, because I can't put it up in our chat. I mean, put it up on our YouTube page. But when Tony Atlas was headlining the Madison Square Garden against Hulk Hogan in that 1981 feud, and he was winning that feud, I got to put those up. Like I said, man, Jim Rogers pretty much put it in perspective. like you said, you didn't see that. You didn't see that Tony Atlas. You didn't see the Tony Atlas between 77 and 83, the 6 years where he was one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. You didn't see that guy. You didn't see the Moondogs when they was considered one of the top 4 or 5 tag teams in the world. You didn't see that. Back in the early to mid 80s, man. You didn't see those guys. You saw them.
And let me guess, the Monkeys were better than the Rock and Roll and the Midnight Express combined.
No, man. No, man. Like I say, you take it away from the Moondogs. Moondogs are something special, man. The Moondogs are something special. They was national heavyweight tag team champs, Chris.
Really, man? Really?
Yes, man. They were,
really, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You tripping, man.
Man, you don't. Man, look.
I can believe that.
One thing, you didn't really see the sheep herders, did you? You saw them as the bushwhackers when they became a joke.
I saw them when they were NWA for a minute. When they were in NWA
just for a little while. But they was on the tail end of their career. But then they went to the WWE, became the bushwhackers. A joke.
Yeah. And became some mega stars.
And you know what? Of course they did. And you saw, but they still was jobbers up there, man. When it boiled down to it, they was winning, but they was mid carders, man. It's just everybody used to like them because they came out, doing that, I thought it was very disrespectful. But yeah, I did like that they got the accolades and everybody enjoyed them. But I like the sadistic, but I like the sadistic sheep herders when they was the sheep herders. When they were just tough, rugged, those Australian boys just biting on the ring ropes and biting, just crazy, just getting out there, just beating the crap out of people. But yeah, the Moondogs, man, the Moondogs are tough, man, and legitimately tough. And one of the guys that we know got into a fight with them. I think it was Rex Rumble and Chris Thunder Anderson got in a fight with the Moondogs. Moondogs beat the living snot out of them in Tennessee. Beat them up bad. Danny had footage of it, man. Danny was telling me about that. He said, he's trying to get copies of it. I wonder who's going to get it. But yeah, they beat the limit. They beat them up there in Tennessee. But the Moondogs, man, legit tough guys. The Moondogs, they did their thing in the South, man. They did their things in the South and the AWA and everything. Moondogs is incredible. It's just the WWE. When they got to WWE, they was older. And, they really didn't have nothing for them, man. And, yeah, they was jobbers up there. I did not like it. Anytime a Moondogs match would come on, I would just turn the TV. I'll turn it off because they did not treat the Moondogs the way the Moondogs should have been treated. And, the Wild Samoans didn't actually get their, in my opinion, the Wild Samoans didn't get treated the way they should have been treated up there either. So that's just my opinion. They did not get treated. I think they won. I think it was WWF World Champions, the Wild Samoans. I think that's who Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson won titles, right? Yeah. So the Wild Samoans did win the World Tag Team titles up there, but still, they should have got more accolades than what they actually gotten or what they actually.
And they were being managed by Captain Lou Albano at the time.
Yeah, exactly. But the Wild Samoans was incredible. But man, Moondog Rex and Moondog Spot, you better believe, Chris. They wasn't just no jobbers, man. You know what? The WWE made them look like the Nasty Boys. Well, actually worse than the Nasty Boys. But Moondog Spot and Moondog Rex was incredible. Believe me, Chris. One of the best NWA tag teams ever. Believe me, straight up. You can ask anybody, man, that's in my age group. They will tell you. The Moondogs was no joke. It's just the WWE did what, WWE did. They didn't have nothing for them. And I was like, why in the world are they up there? They up there for the money. And I understand them going up there for the money. I would have too. Hell, I'm sure Nick Botwinkle, they would offer him a lot of money. And Nick Botwinkle hardly ever lost a match. I guarantee you Nick Botwinkle would have went up there and jobbed too. Straight up.
Hey, they gonna take the damn money, boy.
Hey, why not? I mean, Harley Race went up there. Harley Race still had a lot left, but hey, Harley Race, he was a low mid Carter up there, man.
King Harley Race.
Yeah, King Harley Race, man. Hey, he definitely didn't get the accolades that he should have got up there. You know that, man. They, WWF, man, unless your name was Ric Flair, and unless you was Ric Flair of Legion of Doom, that came from the NWA, you wasn't getting nowhere up there. You know that, Chris. You know that. And Lex Luger, they tried with him. But anybody else that came from the NWA, nobody, no. What's his name? Yeah. Vince McMahon was like, you singing, bro. And Vince McMahon, of course, he was gonna do a lot for Tony Atlas, even though Tony Atlas was an NWA guy, went back to the NWA. He was WWE, NWA went back. When Tony Atlas came on his second run, Vince McMahon Jr. had big plans for him. Vince McMahon Jr. said he wanted to make him the world heavyweight champion, but Tony Atlas wasn't dedicated no more. He wasn't dedicated, didn't show up, wasn't as dedicated in the gym like he used to be or whatever, to his body. I mean, he just a big guy, he's just a big guy, wasn't cut or whatever. He just wasn't what he used to be. But Vince McMahon Jr. had big plans for him.
Man.
But yeah, Moondogs, man. Why you think they in, Chris?
Moondogs ain't they ain't no Hall of Fame, boy.
Wait a minute. They ain't in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, but the Moondogs, man, like Moondogs, something incredible. But yeah, we're not talking about the Moondogs, man. What am I talking about?
Yeah, man, you're talking about the Moondogs, man.
Yeah, we talking about the Wild Samoans, man. But yeah, Alpha and Sika, they definitely deserve to be in there. They got in. I remember when they first got in. Now I was kind of a little iffy there. I was like, they need to, they deserve to go in, but a little later, in my opinion, because I think later in their career, I just think they kind of like fell off the map a little bit. But man, if you think about everything that they did do as far as in the world of wrestling, not just the WWE, they deserve everything that they did get, man, straight up.
All right, man. So now we're gonna go to the class of 2008, man. 2008. We're going to the class March 29, 2008, Orlando, Florida, in the Amway Arena.
Okay.
Now, man, this Hall of Fame class here, you can get down with this Hall of Fame class, boy. All right. First, your man, Harry, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
All right.
Inducted by Triple H. Then you had the High Chief Peter Maivia, inducted by The Rock. And then you had The Rock's father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, who was inducted by The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Then you had Mae Young, who's inducted by Pat Patterson. Then we have Eddie Graham, who's inducted by Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
Then you have Gordon Soley, Harry, inducted by Jim Ross.
Mm.
Then you had your boys, the Briscoe brothers, Jack and Gerald, inducted by John Bradshaw Layfield.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Harry, that's a class you can get down with.
Hey, there's no doubt about it, man. Hey, I enjoyed both of these classes. The first two that we done, 2006, 2007. There's nobody there that we can say that didn't deserve to be in there. Man, those are some incredible classes, those two, Chris. And I think the WWE did it right. They did it right in this third one. This one right here in 2008, 100% everybody deserved to be in there. Now, only person I got to say, I hate to say it, there's only one thing I got to say about this, man, and that's High Chief Peter Maivia. And I'll tell you my thoughts on him after we get finished with Ric Flair.
Wait a minute. You don't think he need to be in there?
I'll tell you my thoughts on him after the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Oh, but you want him Cody Crybabies, boy.
No, man, no. How many times? Did you ever get to see High Chief Peter Maivia, Chris?
No, I didn't. But
but
I'm sure that man deserves to be in there. But I'm sure he deserves to be in there. I'm sure.
He does. He does deserve to be in there, Chris. Okay. I said I just got a little bit to say about it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Go ahead. What you think about the Nature Boy, man? Like I say, hey, I have a whole history of it, man. But I'm just, hey, but I don't have much to say about it, man.
But if it was up to Harry, man, Harry would have put him in his rookie year. But if it was up to Harry,
I don't think so. He was already a legend. He was already a legend before we got out of the 70s when it boiled down to it. But go ahead, Chris.
But Rick definitely deserves to be in it, man.
No doubt,
without question. The man has done just about everything you can think about in this business, man.
No doubt.
Man, I mean, he has just I mean, I don't. Golly, the man's just done everything. But that's all I can say. He's just done everything. But I mean, he's won tag team gold. He's won single gold. I mean, the man's a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, for God's sake, man. I mean, could possibly end up being a 3-time Hall of Famer at some point if Evolution goes in. I mean, what?
I mean, what else can you say? I mean,
yeah, I'm speechless, man. I ain't got nothing to say about the man.
Let me just sum it up like this, okay? Ric Flair came into the business, little chubby guy, wasn't I ain't gonna say little chubby guy. He was a big guy, 6'2", 300 pounds, man. And, he teamed up with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and he teamed up with Rip Hawk from the jump. He went from, when he got into, 2 years he spent into the AWA up around in that area, he ended up with Ken Patera, man, Olympian. Did a lot of great things there. Ended up coming to the Carolinas, which was the hottest region in the country. Teamed up with Rip Hawk, and man, they just did incredible things for a year. After that, he ended up going up, teaming up with Blackjack Mulligan. Got into a feud with Tiger Conway Jr. Got into a feud with Paul Jones, number one Paul Jones, Chief Wahoo McDaniel. Great wrestlers, man. Chief Wahoo McDaniel, one of the top 3 wrestlers in the world at that time. Ric Flair got into an intense feud with him. Only been in the business 2 years at that time. Ric Flair 3 years at that time. Ric Flair ended up, around that time, traveling the world with Andre the Giant between 1975 to 1977. 1976, got into a feud with Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat, a rookie in the business, became legendary. That probably the most legendary feud, arguably the most legendary feud of all time is between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. And in their battles in the 70s, believe me, was better than that trilogy that they had in the late 80s in 89. But 76 to 89, Ric Flair against Ricky Steamboat, if you ever get a chance to go back and you can see some of their matches on YouTube, outstanding. Those guys together was outstanding. But Nature Boy Ric Flair, man, Andre the Giant took him everywhere. Andre the Giant saw the talent in him early, so took him around the world, man. Took him to Japan, took him to Australia, took him to New Zealand, took him to Europe on trips with him. Ric Flair name became synonymous. And outside of Andre the Giant, it was Andre the Giant, Dusty Rhodes, and Ric Flair in the mid-70s. And Jim Cornette was, like Jim Cornette said, those were the biggest names in wrestling right there. Ric Flair was a young guy, 25, 26 years old, one of the biggest names in wrestling at that time, that's the reason why I tell you, by the time 1979 came around, the NWA was already touting this man, saying he was going to get the world championship. It was between him and Dusty Rhodes. So they was the next in line to Harley Race. People talk about how great Harley Race was, and Harley Race was a great champion. He was a great traveling champion. But you have people out here who's making a mistake and saying he traveled more than Ric Flair. Nobody traveled more than Ric Flair. Ric Flair defended that title in the world more than anybody outside of maybe Lou Thesz. Lou Thesz went everywhere, but I think Ric Flair actually he went more places than Lou Thesz. And that's just incredible. But Ric Flair, man, like I said, he was already he's already touted as one, by the time 1981 rolled around, they would say he was the greatest wrestler in the world. He only been in the business 8 years at that time, 8 or 9 years. But this guy already did it all by that time. He already was in the United States. In 1981, he was already a world heavyweight champion, NWA world champion. And NWA world championship was the top championship in the world at that time. He took it from Dusty Rhodes. Excuse me, guys. And like I said, Dusty Rhodes had won that title from Harley Race. And Dusty Rhodes, that's the reason why I say, everybody look at that WWE. His dad, he never won it. Dusty Rhodes never won it. That was a regional championship. It was a regional championship. The Superstar Billy Graham. It wasn't the biggest championship in the world. It was the biggest region because that region was so thick. Because, like I said, it's in New York. It's New York, Boston. It's up there with all those little. Towns, New Jersey, which is a small state, Connecticut and all that, but a lot of people up there. So it was the biggest region in the world, but Dusty did not win that. He got close to winning it winning it, but it was not the biggest title in the world. Dusty Rhodes was the biggest champion in the world when he was NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And I never thought Nature Boy Ric Flair was going to take it off of him. I thought Dusty was going to actually be the man that Ric Flair became in the 80s. But Dusty didn't need that thing. He really didn't. Dusty still could travel the world and still get the same accolades that the Nature Boy Ric Flair got. But Ric Flair, it did not make sense. It didn't make sense for Ric Flair not to be the world champion. That's the reason why they ended the NWA putting the titles on him, because it didn't make sense for him not to have it. Everybody saw how great he was, how outstanding he was, everything that he could do outside of the ring and inside of the ring. So it did not make sense for him not to have the world title. But then you had, like I say, Dusty Rhodes on that other end too. Didn't make sense for him to have the world title, but he could entertain you without it. Ric Flair putting it on his shoulder just looks so good, man. But yeah, the guy has done so many things. And like I said, man, he already, if he would have retired by 86, man, 15 years in the ring, that's all he needed. He had all the money he needed at that time, but it probably would have been good if he would have retired in 86, 87 or something like that, and pretty much concentrated on his family and not be the man that he he always been that man. The man that out there drinking and everything. He probably would have calmed down and been something totally different. I wouldn't have had no problem with it, but we definitely wouldn't have got to see a lot of the great things that he did between 87, on up until like the late 1990s. But yeah, definitely incredible. Definitely deserved to be in there straight up 100%. All right, Chris, we're going to go to High Chief Peter Maivia. All you really know about him is basically he is the, grandfather of The Rock. And he's well respected in the business. Now, High Chief Peter Maivia, I saw him wrestle on several occasions, Chris. Several occasions.
Okay. All right.
Won a lot of matches. Didn't lose a lot. Just wasn't really that talented in the ring, if you ask me.
Wow. Boy, don't let the Rock you say that, boy.
He wasn't, man. What is he going to do? What is he going to do?
All right, man.
What is he going to do?
All right, buddy, you send Solo off your tail, boy. Hey, boy.
Muscles can't stop flying fists, bro.
Solo can't. Muscles can't. Flying fists can't stop crazy, and they send Solo after your tail.
I'm not fighting one of them young boys, man. I'm not fighting no Solo Sikoa or Jimmy Uso or one of the Uso brothers, man. Them jokes are nuts, man. Now, as far as Rock's close to my age. Rock, I can take on him. He's a big dude and everything. I won't let him grab me. I tell you what, but I don't know if his face can take all those punches. But as far as the Solo, Uso brothers, as far as us, those three brothers there, nah, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with that. They crazy, man. They crazy. They go back to my hood days, man. Those guys are nuts, man. I wouldn't fight them guys for nothing. But now I wouldn't run up on a Rock either. But no, Chief Peter Maivia, great, outstanding. I liked him. I did like him a lot. I thought in the crowd was crazy about him. People, the fans loved him. They did. They loved him. He definitely deserves his accolades. He deserves being in the Hall of Fame. There's no anything but about him. I didn't think much of his ring work. Kind of like Chief Jay Strongbow. I didn't think much of his ring work either. And that's probably because anytime I heard the word Chief, who did I think of? And I hated this guy. I couldn't stand Chief Wahoo McDaniel. But I thought about Chief Wahoo McDaniel. And nobody can deny Chief Wahoo McDaniel was one of the most incredible guys that's ever been in the ring. And Chief Wahoo McDaniel was just flat out tough. And I know you didn't see Chief Wahoo McDaniel until the tail end of his career. And Chris, you gotta admit, man, he was incredible in that ring, man. Still to his last days. Chief Wahoo McDaniel just
Indian boy.
Exactly. Boy. He would devastate guys in that ring, man. He will beat you down. So I compared those guys, Chief Peter Maivia and Chief Jay Strongbow, to Chief Wahoo McDaniel. So when it boils down to it, Chris, it was a disservice to Chief Peter Maivia. You understand what I'm saying? So when I look back at Chief Peter Maivia and I'm picturing him, he did some incredible things in the ring, and he beat people down. Beat people down. But when we start talking about this, I'm thinking about him as like, but yeah, he did some incredible things in the ring, man. But I got to overlook the people that I compare him to. And that's what I do with LA Knight. I compare LA Knight to people that he emulates. I'm sorry, I compare him to The Rock. I compare him to Stone Cold Steve Austin. So that's the reason it's hard for me to get past that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what you're saying,
I don't know why I do that. If you look like somebody, Triple H, I did that for a long time. When I first seen Triple H, know who he looked like when he first came into WWE. When he came to the WCW, he came in as he came in like Ric Flair. He had that Frenchman type thing, but he came in looking like Ric Flair. And I'm like, and I first saw him wrestle. I started seeing him wrestle. I'm like, even though he changed up when he went to the WWE, I'm still like, this guy wants to be Ric Flair. This guy wants to be Ric Flair. And I could not look past that for a long time. And, I couldn't look past that. And if you're not as good as the guy that you're emulating, it's hard for me to look at you and say that you're good. So that's the way I looked at Chief Peter Maivia, and that's wrong, man. And that's the way I looked at Chief Jay Strongbow. Chief Peter Maivia was better than what I'm actually thinking he was, because right now I'm looking back at I'm taking the shades off.
I was about to say, man. Why
McDaniel out of the picture? Boy. Yeah, Chief Peter Maivia was great. He was great. He won a lot of matches, man. So yeah, I'm just taking the shades off. All right, so yeah, he definitely deserved to be in, and he was inducted by The Rock. And next we got Soul Man Rocky Johnson. Definitely deserved to be in. I'm gonna let Chris go ahead and talk about Rocky Johnson, man. I mean about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, man. Go ahead and talk about him, Chris. No, wait a minute.
No, Soul Man, man.
Soul Man Rocky Johnson. Sorry about that. The Rock. Soul Man Rocky Johnson. I know more about Rocky Johnson than you do. But go ahead and talk a little bit about what you know about him.
The only time I saw him when he was The Rock was still coming to his own, man. He was still basically a rookie in his business.
Yeah.
And him and his dad won tag team championships together.
Yeah.
I want to say it was a SummerSlam. And that was basically the only time I ever saw the man wrestle.
All right.
And he wasn't even wrestling then, man. He was in slacks and whatever he had going on, man. I don't know. That was crazy.
Yeah. Hold on for a second, man.
But yeah, I really didn't get to see Rocky Johnson do anything. Not saying he never done anything, because he's definitely done a lot. But I've just never seen him do anything far as wrestling or anything like that. Like I said, that's Harry's thing he got going on. Harry.
Well, you need to go back. And look, who did I say? Bobby Lashley. I'm giving him a lot of accolades. I talk about Tony Atlas a lot. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You say Ron Simmons. I know you say Ron Simmons got to be up there. And yeah, he's definitely up there. But none of those guys hold a candle besides Tony Atlas to Rocky Soulman Johnson. Rocky Soulman Johnson, I forget him every now and then, but Rocky Soulman Johnson's still the best black wrestler I ever seen in my life. 100%.
That's something serious, boy. That's something serious.
Best black wrestler that I've ever seen in my life. But his best run, and what I'm talking about is when he was in the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling area in Georgia, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. He was known as Sweet Ebony Diamond. Sweet Ebony Diamond. He used to wear a mask. But everybody knew it was Rocky Soulman Johnson. He didn't hide who he was. Every now and then he would take off the mask and he would wrestle as that. But yeah, Sweet Ebony Diamond. God almighty, Chris.
He was like that, man. He was like that,
Chris, I want you to picture AJ Styles.
Okay.
I want you to picture AJ Styles, Rick Martel, AJ Styles, Rick Martel, and Ivan Putski. Picture all three of those. Picture those. The power.
Yeah.
The power of Rick Martel. The
power of Ivan Putski, man. The power of Ivan Putski.
I mean Ivan Putski. The athleticism of AJ Styles, and who else did I say? Rick Martel.
Yeah, Rick Martel, yeah.
And the wrestling ability of Rick Martel. Combine all three of those. That was Rocky Soulman Johnson. Man. At his best. Sweet Ebony Diamond was the best I've seen him at. And he was incredible, man. He was. He also had some of that Ricochet stuff in him, man. Incredible. the most bounce that I ever seen from any wrestler at that time. Very athletic.
Wow.
Somersaults, cutting flips, just doing the power, the get out of any move that you could put him in. But one thing that's one thing I have to say
that's
about
something serious right there, man.
Yeah, Mid-Atlantic, see
like that, man.
Now WWE back in that time, the WWE, the WWF still even though they were more towards wrestling, they still was more of a kick punch type thing. That's what even Vince McMahon Sr. was more into that. That wrestling style. That's why Bruno Sammartino, when he came to Houston, Bruno Sammartino came down to Memphis. People didn't take to him. They just really didn't. Even though Bruno could wrestle a little bit, Bruno, he still was a punch brawl type guy. Everybody outside of Bob Backlund and a few other guys that came out of there really didn't have that wrestling accolade, the wrestling accolades that you saw from the Southern wrestlers. That style just did not translate. Antonio Rocca had it when he came here. Bob Backlund had it and a few other guys. But Rocky Soulman Johnson, he was not able to do the things in the WWE, which he spent most of his wrestling career up in the WWF. Most of his career was there. He was not able to do the things that he was able to do in Florida, Georgia, in the Mid-Atlantic area. In the Mid-Atlantic area, they let him go all out and show everything that he had. And, man, he was incredible, Chris. I couldn't believe it, man. Anytime that you saw him wrestle, and he did not stay down here long enough. He won every championship it was to win over there, to win in the Mid-Atlantic area. He won the United States Heavyweight Championship. He won the television title. He won the Mid-Atlantic title. Won every one of those titles. Only, he didn't team up with me. I think he teamed up. Yeah, he teamed up a couple times with Rufus R. Jones and Pistol Pez. But he was incredible. He was incredible. I was stunned. You could not. Anytime that he came, that he was going to the auditorium, it was slam packed. Anytime he went to Anderson Greenwood, that's the first time I really traveled. I would go anytime he would wrestle in the area, I would go. I would make sure I had to go to see him. I was a teenager. I was like 14, 15, 16. I made sure my brother, my aunts, uncle, and my grandma would take me. Or my mom would take me and drop me off, and they would come back and pick me up. Had to see him. He was incredible. He was the athletic wrestlers that we see today. But he did not do those crazy spots, man. But he definitely could cut flips off over the back ropes. And I'm talking about doing somersaults backwards over, he'd be on the ring apron. I mean, right there on the hardest part of the ring, he would cut a flip backwards over that rope and then come back and come over and and roll on the ring and then come up and do a clothesline on the guy. He was just incredible, man. He was amazing to see. He was amazing to see. I was just like, wow, who is this guy?
That sounds amazing, man. That sounds.
But he was, and I don't think he was running around with a bunch of women at that time. He, this is before he really got into running around with the boys a lot, because back then he was riding solo. When he was in the Mid-Atlantic area, he didn't have his boys Alpha and Seiko around. The Samoan guys that Andre wasn't around. The guys that he was really close to. He was really close to a lot of those guys you see on The Rock, the show. A lot of those guys, Iron Sheik, those guys wasn't around at that time, so he was able to do his thing, man, and everything that was about him came out. And that looked, like I said, at time he was Sweet Ebony Diamond over in Mid-Atlantic. Probably my favorite time as a wrestling fan. He was more athletic than Ricky Steamboat. He was more incredible than Steamboat in the ring, and that's saying a lot right there, Chris. That's saying a lot. He was more athletic and more eye-pleasing to watch than Ricky Steamboat. He was great. He was great.
Now that's saying something. Hey, if you say he's more eye-pleasing than Steamboat, that's something from you.
Steamboat was the best wrestler I seen back then. Rocky Soulman Johnson was better, but I just didn't get to see him for a long time because he stayed for a little while, collected what he wanted to collect, and he was driving around. He was driving around in like a Ferrari back then. He would come to the back of the auditorium, sign autographs, people talk to him, and man, he was just so muscled up and just great shape. Had his head on straight at that time, man. Incredible.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, Rocky Soulman Johnson definitely deserved to be in there, but he was a better wrestler than what the WWF presented him as. He was better than that guy. I was like, man, he's actually better than that guy that I saw in the WWF, even though he was very incredible, very good. And I thought it was a privilege. I hate that Tony Atlas couldn't get along with him. Those two didn't get along.
They didn't, man. They said the only time they were together when they won them and when they lost them. Other than that was it, boy.
Well, they did. That was other tag team matches. They defended them in Japan and things like that. I saw the other tag team matches. They had a few other ones, but yeah, I know it's hard to recall. Even a lot of these wrestlers don't recall some of the things they did in their career, but they defended them. They had them. They defended against more than They defended a few times in other places because they did defend them in Japan. I remember that, and I seen it not too long ago on YouTube. But yeah, I hated that they didn't get along because I thought they was both of those guys was incredible together. But Rocky Johnson, I looked at Tony Atlas. I'm like, Tony, it's a privilege to team up with this guy because this guy, he was just, man, he was something. And like I said, over in WWE, he was something. The WWF, he was special there too, but he was not able to, they like to use his punches and his power. Instead of showcasing all the other things that he had. And they probably did that because they didn't want him to be the world champ up there. You know what I'm saying? But because the fans would have been like, why isn't this guy the world champion? All right, man. All right, but yeah, that's all I got to say on Rocky Soulman Johnson. I'm glad that he's in, and he deserved to go in, man, straight up in 2008. All right. Next, we have Mae Young.
Mae Young, man.
Patterson. Mae Young, she trained Fabulous Moolah, man. And Mae Young, she did all the things that the Fabulous Moolah did, years before the Fabulous Moolah. And Mae Young, I know a lot of people they brought her in as the sex symbol and everything, tried to act like she was a sex symbol, and everybody was laughing at her when she's all old. But you got to go way back, way back, 50s and 60s. She definitely was a sex symbol. And definitely was one of these women that was in the movies back then. She was a movie star too. Mae Young was beautiful, man. Flat out beautiful. She man, incredible looking woman. But yeah, Mae Young, and she was incredible in the ring, man. She didn't have to do it after she got into the movies and was able to do a thing, but she loved wrestling so much, and she trained a lot of good wrestlers.
She was
Fabulous Moolah. But Mae Young definitely deserves all her accolades, guys.
Yeah, she does, man. Harry, what do you now like I said, man, some of the things I remember about Moolah, man. WrestleMania 1. I mean, was it Mae Young? Oh, yeah, Mae Young. Okay. I thought we were talking about Moolah. The only thing I remember about Mae Young, man, was when she was, getting thrown around by the Dudley Boys and the whole thing with Mark Henry.
Yeah.
And all that. That's the stuff I remember, man. I don't really remember her as a true wrestler. I mean, I know she wrestled.
Right.
I heard that she wrestled, but I didn't know her as a wrestler. Not saying that she wasn't. Because obviously she was, and she was a tough chick too, bud.
Oh, there's no doubt.
She was a tough one because, man, the stuff, getting thrown through a table by the Dudley Boys. Come on, man. And you was already in your 70s then? Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, man, look.
And it was crazy because Bubba was basically saying, at one point in time when she was like, Bubba, when they was getting ready to powerbomb her through a table, she's like, Bubba, I'll do it. No problem. I trust you. But she was like, but if you don't handle me like you will handle one of the boys, I'm going to whoop your ass.
Yeah.
And this is a 70-year-old woman telling this to Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah.
She was like, you put me through this table. You hear me? And you put me through it hard. You don't take it light on me. Put me through it hard. And he was like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Man, look. I saw her back in the 70s.
She a tough chick, boy.
I saw her back in the 70s. One thing about Mae Young, back in the 70s, she just destroyed everything. These women are not as advanced as they are now.
Oh, yeah.
She basically destroyed everybody she came up against back in the 70s. And she never stayed in one area because she made so much money traveling the world, traveling around the country, that she never really stayed in the area. She still was very beautiful back in the 70s. So it was a treat to see her. She was an Andre the Giant type person. anytime she came to the area, you was gonna go see her. You know, she would team up with Moolah. You know, her and Moolah was very good friends. They would not wrestle each other, so you didn't get to see that. And that's one match that you pretty much wanted to see, that you pretty much longed for. You know, you just like, oh gosh, man, I wish why don't they wrestle each other? But they were real good friends. But you know, she was just incredible back then, man. You know, and you admired her for her beauty and how tough she was in the ring.
Yeah.
And she was able to take on the boys back then. You know, she was able to take on the boys in the ring. She took on some of the classic, some of her classic matches was against some of the male competitors back then. But yeah, she was incredible in that ring, man. She was Charlotte Flair back then.
Yeah,
you know, back in the 70s. She was Charlotte Flair. But yeah, she was incredible, man. No ins, ands, and buts about it. But yeah, big ups to Mae Young, man, for being in the ring. And I'm glad I got to see her when she still was in her younger days. She wasn't young at that time. You know, she was in her 40s at that time, I believe, you know, back in the 70s when I first saw her. But yeah, she still was very beautiful at that time. But yeah, incredible, man. Incredible. All right, man. Next we have Eddie Graham. He was inducted by Dusty Rhodes. And Eddie Graham, man, his legacy is because he ran the Florida Championship. He ran that region of the country. Eddie Graham trained a lot of great wrestlers. Eddie Graham, I did see him wrestle. Eddie Graham was okay as a wrestler. Wasn't a great wrestler. I take that back. He was a great wrestler. But Eddie Graham was more concerned about getting his wrestlers over than putting himself over.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you saw Eddie Graham wrestle, you'd be like, why in the world did he lose this match? Why did he lose that match? All the time. You always wondered that. But Eddie Graham, like I said, he would get guys over. He did not care about winning. You know, he would get in, he would always get into, you know, he would have a great storyline or whatever, but he was more into getting his trainees over, people that he trained and people that worked for him.
And that's good and very,
very good. Very good.
It's a selfishness, man. It's a selfishness,
definitely.
Which you don't see a lot in this business because everybody either want to get their stuff in or try to, you know, hey, man, do this, and do that. You know, you don't see a lot of guys wanting to put other guys over in this business, man. You know, you don't see that very often.
Right.
So when you do, it's a very rare thing, man. And it takes a special, selfless person to do these things, man.
Oh, yeah.
Do stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, Eddie Graham, man. Everybody who's anybody, man, that ran through the NWA, that went through Eddie Graham, man. Eddie Graham, just incredible. And like I said, you know, he had and the next guy, man, that comes up, we'll be talking about Gordon Solie. But Eddie Graham, man, hey, his contribution to wrestling, just almost as good as Jim Crockett, man. You know, he's right there with it. He's one up. You know, he's right there with Jim Crockett. So hey, big ups to him, and Dusty Rhodes inducted him. I think Mike Graham should have been the guy who inducted him. But
so you say his son should have done it?
Yeah, Mike Graham should have did that, man. But you know, hey, I can understand Dusty Rhodes inducted him, and who knows what kind of shape Mike Graham was in at that time. You know, but Dusty Rhodes, I'm sure he loved him to death, man. And Eddie Graham made Dusty Rhodes who Dusty Rhodes is. All right,
yeah, he did, man. Yeah, he did.
All right, man. We have Gordon Solie next. Gordon Solie was inducted by Jim Ross, who became, you know, the voice in the 1990s, late 1980s, 1990s, 2000s. He inducted, you know, probably the greatest voice ever in wrestling, Gordon Solie. I'm not gonna say Gordon Solie is the best of all time, but Gordon Solie, man, you can't deny that voice. And anytime you hear him, just hear him, just like you hear Jim Ross. You know who it is. Gordon Solie is just synonymous with, you know, commentary as far as in wrestling, man. Incredible. Definitely deserved to be in. And man, Gordon Solie, you just can't say enough about Gordon Solie. If you hear him, he definitely one of these guys going to attract you to wrestling, and he's going to tell you every move that's being put on any guy. He definitely, like I said, he's one of these guys that can talk through the screen and keep you interested in what was going on, straight up.
He really could, man. Gordon Solie was something special, man.
No doubt.
This guy he was definitely one of a kind, man.
Yeah.
Gordon was he could call the matches, but one thing I did not like about Gordon Solie, and yes, there's something I did not like about Gordon Solie. To me, Harry, he was very bland.
Oh, he was, man. He was.
He was just very.
Well, you know what?
Oh my God, man.
You know, by the time one thing about him that I remember, like when Georgia Championship Wrestling basically started dying. I mean, well, it basically died and went into WCW. And WCW pretty much took their guys. Bob Caudle. That's one thing about Bob Caudle.
Bob Caudle, he was animated, man. That's what I liked about. He was excited.
Bob Caudle, even though he was an old school commentator, came from the 70s and stuff. Bob Caudle was able to move his over into the modern wrestling. He was able to move his commentary over. It emulated with the younger generation.
Yeah,
Gordon Solie.
I don't think he could do that.
Gordon Solie it wasn't there no more.
He couldn't do it, man.
Yeah. It like I agree, Chris. I didn't like him though. It's not that I started disliking him. I was just like, wow,
his style of commentary.
Exactly. When the Clash of Champions came along,
it didn't work no more.
Things like that, that he worked on a couple Clash of Champions and things like that. I was like, it's not there. The Tony Schiavone's had came along, the Jim Ross's had came along, things like that. And Gordon Solie, it wasn't a place for him no more. Bob Caudle still worked with those guys. He still could work with them. And and Bob Caudle went over to Smoky Mountain with Jim Cornette. Cornette tried to get he hired Gordon Solie for a while too, but it didn't work. I was like, man, no, you got Gordon Solie over there. Gordon just did not work anymore. And
he didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, kind of like Lance too. Lance Armstrong. He kind of Lance was good, but Lance kind of like fell out of that too. Was not Lance Armstrong? Was it Lance Armstrong? What was the last name? Lance.
Who are you talking about, Lance Armstrong?
The other guy, man, that used to wear the glasses. What is his name? He came out of Memphis. I can't think of his last name, Chris.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he was really good too. But he did not translate either. But yeah, Gordon just didn't translate. And he got very bland. That worked with the 70s style of wrestling, the Ole Andersons and Thunderbolt Pattersons and people like that. When those guys were wrestling, the Eddie Grahams, and that worked. It just did not work, man. When the new school of wrestling came in, it didn't work, man. It didn't work. So, but that's the only thing I have to say about Gordon Solie. But overall, he deserves this place, man. But it just didn't translate, man. But hey, next, man, we have big ups to big ups, man, and all respect to Gordon Solie for everything that he did in wrestling. All right, man. Next we have the Briscoe brothers. All right, man. Do we have anything else on?
No comments. No more comments.
Okay.
Man.
All right, we got the Briscoe brothers, man. Jack and Jerry Briscoe. Jack Briscoe. They got Jack and Gerald Briscoe here, but I know him as Jack and Jerry Briscoe. I do know Gerald. They started calling him Gerald, which I hated when he was in the WWE. And yes, they prefer. They called him Jerry every now and then, but Jerry is short for Gerald. We know that. All right, but the Briscoe brothers, inducted by John Bradshaw Layfield, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about them a little bit as a tag team. Great tag team. I saw them as tag teams. As a tag team early on, back in the early 70s to the mid 70s and the 80s, and they took the belts off Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, who was at that time, up until that time, was the greatest tag team I ever seen outside of the Anderson brothers. But they took the belts off of them, and Jack and Jerry Briscoe was just incredible. Jack Briscoe. On his own, man, as the world heavyweight champion, one of the best champions, probably never would have got that title taken off of him. Jack Briscoe wanted to get that. He gave the title up because he didn't want to travel like that, but he held it for 2 years. Jerry Briscoe won every other title outside of that in the NWA. Incredible, both in his own right. But yeah, definitely deserved to go in, man. Jack and Jerry Briscoe, I did at the time when they got inducted. I wanted it to be just Jack Briscoe. I didn't think Jerry deserved to be in there. I'm just saying,
wow, man.
I will say that. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because Jack Briscoe kind of said something, man. He used to say things in interviews and say things in wrestling books back in the day about Jerry. They asked him about his brother, and Jack would say things like, yeah, my brother is great and everything like that, but I want my brother to win the world title. He was saying the way he was putting it out there that his brother hadn't lived up to his potential. And so I started looking at Jerry like that a lot too. I was like, man, he's not like Jack. You need to be as good as your brother. You need to do this. You need to do that. So I had to get past that. I had to get past the trees, man, to get into that forest. I had to get past that tree that Jack put in front of his brother, and he did. He put that in front of his brother, and I had to look at it. I said, wait a minute, Jerry was great, man. Jerry, he was a great world television champion. He was a great United States champion. He was a great world tag team champion with his brother. He wasn't a world champion, and he never went for the world title. Jerry actually wanted to do things with his brother. He never vied for it. He never got a shot at it. So wow. He just wanted to be world tag. And when his brother retired, he retired. He was like, they told him, he can go on when his brother retired because Jack decided to up and leave, the WWE. And they told him, Jerry, well, you can go ahead and go with solo career. And he was like, no. He said, I just want to wrestle with my brother. He loved his brother that much. That's it. And Jerry just became basically he became an executive and became a great executive and right-hand man, one of the right-hand man of Vince. But I hope Jerry don't get pulled into this crap that's going on. But they're probably going to ask because Jerry, I'm sure Jerry knows.
Oh God, I'm sure he does, man. Because he was, like you said, he was one of the right-hand man to Vince, man. So.
Yeah, and I was very excited to see him, Chris. I was. I mean, Jerry, I was very excited to talk to him. And if I see him today, I probably would do the same thing, man. I love it. I love those Briscoe brothers, man. They was wrestling. Anytime I think about wrestling, Briscoe comes up. No doubt about it. But go ahead, Chris. Go ahead and talk about him a little bit, and I'll be right back, man. Well, we're going to get going in just a minute.
Okay. But like I said, guys, the Briscoes, man, I only saw Gerald. And by the time I saw him, he was definitely at the end of his career. He was a backstage guy, a agent. He was putting together matches. He was helping young talent. He was Vince McMahon's right-hand man, or one of his right-hand men. So he was well off into his career by the time I saw him, man. And when he came around to getting to the point where, okay, I think I'm going to wrestle and everything and do all this. It was, a little silly stuff he was doing. It wasn't nothing major. It was little silly stuff. It wasn't nothing, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't nothing impressive. It wasn't nothing, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for here, man? He wasn't dramatic. I guess I want to say, I don't know.
Are you talking about Gerald?
Yeah, because when I saw him, man, it was way after his time, man. It was way after his time, man.
Yeah.
And so not saying that the man couldn't still go, because he could still, him and Pat Patterson, the Stooges.
Oh yeah.
As they like to call him, and stuff like that. And the Stooges and they would do stuff like that, man. It was hilarious, man.
Hey, you know what? When it boils down to it, if they wanted to, if it was legit, Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe, I remember that. I remember that when it was the Stooges. I used to turn it off because I thought it was a joke. Because, both of those guys were such serious wrestlers, man. Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Pat Patterson teamed up with a lot of people and made great tag teams. Him and Gerald Briscoe, two of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
The first IC champion, man. The first IC champion.
Yeah. They wanted to be the world tag team champions in WWE. If it was legit, they could have been. They was incredible. But they made them look like fools, man. So I would turn it off anytime I seen that. I'm like, you messing with the legacy of both of those guys. And why? And I was like, why are you guys doing that? But I knew they was both executives. They both worked in the back. They didn't care. I was just like,
yeah.
But Gerald, I think he's like, hey, I'm just going ahead and doing this because hey, I don't have my brother and Pat. Me and Pat, we both been around a long time, and I'm just like, but to me, they was making a fool of those guys, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. So I looked at it a couple times, but yeah, when it boils down to it, as far as tag teams, they was the most talented tag team there. They could take apart the Hart Foundation. I'm sorry. I knew Brett was great. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, great. The British Bulldogs, all those guys that was there, Killer Bees and all those guys. But the Stooges, when it boils down to it, if those guys would have got down to a strictly wrestling match, those guys would they could take apart everybody they wanted to. They was great, man. They would tie you up. And now Bret Hart would hang with both of them. He could hang with both of them. If it came down to a pure wrestling match, he could hang with both of those guys.
Oh yeah, he could definitely.
But most of the guys over there, they couldn't do that. They couldn't. Those guys, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, man. And if Jack was there, because Jack, nobody. He's the only one. He's one of those guys. He was mean in the locker room before me. But you never would have thought that about Jack. Jack could beat up everybody. That's what everybody always says.
Wow.
Jack could beat everybody. Jack was just so athletic and one of those guys who used to get in street fights all the time back when he was in high school and college. Even though, he's an Olympic wrestler. But Jack, they said guys would just try him. Jack, you just couldn't beat Jack. Ric Flair would talk about that and Harley Race and all that. Harley said, he never came up against him, but he said Jack was known for that. He said he was the bad guy. He was, Harley was the muscle for, muscle back there running for, the underworld. He said, but Jack could have been on, he said Jack could have rolled with him and it could have been that same guy. He said, because Jack was just known for that. He would beat you down. He'd break your bones. He could do all kind of things, anything that he wanted to do. But I don't know if Gerald was like that too. But they said Gerald was, well, I take that back. Ric Flair said Gerald was the same way. Nobody could beat those brothers. But Jack was adamant about, Gerald not winning the World Heavyweight Championship like he did. And that was kind of wrong to actually say that. When it boils down to it, that his brother did not live up to who he was. But man, yeah, Gerald, like I say, in his own right, was a great wrestler. But they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad they got in there, man. Straight up.
Oh, definitely, man.
All right, Magnum said, is Mark Briscoe related to Jerry and Jack Briscoe?
That's what I want. I don't know.
Everybody wants to know that, Mag.
I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I have no clue, man.
One thing I know about, Mark Briscoe, is he Native American? He kind of looks it. Jack and Jerry Briscoe, they Native American. They definitely 100% Native American.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no clue what Mark Briscoe, Mark and Jay, I don't know their relation with the Briscoe brothers. But nobody never said they wasn't. But
exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. But I tell you what, Chris.
Well, this might have to be a 4-part series.
Yeah, we pretty much done for the day, man. We've been on here going on 3 hours. But yeah, we definitely done for the day as far as this right here goes, because we're gonna go and get something to eat, man. And I'm running a little bit late on doing that, and I gotta come home, maybe get a little bit of rest. So we want to go to the show tonight.
Yes, yeah, I do definitely want to go tonight, man. I definitely. We're gonna be at 3 Count Pro Wrestling tonight, guys.
All right.
Down in Anderson, South Carolina, man, at Westside High School, home of the Fighting Rams. The other Rams, not the Hill Creeks, but the Westside Rams.
Exactly. I remember playing the Westside Rams, man. People in the crowd be like, "Go Rams, man!" We should be like, "Which Rams?" But it was a trip, man. And my biggest memory down there in that gym, Chris, we was playing the basketball game, man. We Westside was ranked. We was ranked. Westside was ranked. This was actually Eric Sullivan's freshman year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we was ranked number 5 in the state. They was ranked number 2 in the state. We went down there. We was wearing those boys out in Anderson, boy.
Boy, I'm surprised y'all made it out there alive, boy.
Man, one of their fans got so upset. He got so angry.
Boy,
he got up after Eric Sullivan did a dunk. Eric went down there and did this dramatic dunk. You know how good of a dunk.
Oh yeah.
One of the guys got up, pulled the gun out. Boom. Everybody said, he's got a gun. That gym, everybody just went crazy, man. This dude, man, he got tackled.
Man, that's nuts, boy.
Security took him out, man. We were scared as I don't know what. We went and finished the game, but we beat the crap out of them boys. But I was afraid to go to, I ran track, played football. Yeah. Anytime we did anything against West Side, I was looking around, man. We was always looking around to see if somebody from that crowd would do something crazy like that, man. And you know, Anderson at that time was the murder capital of South Carolina at that time.
Yes, man. Yes.
Yeah. But I was always looking around to see if somebody in that crowd would do something crazy. It was hard to concentrate on the games, man.
I can imagine, man. That's just
it was hard to concentrate on the games. If I'm running track, man, I'm running, thinking like, hey, is somebody gonna shoot me, man? Because we're beating their rounds. I didn't know. I'm like, man, these guys are they're worse than Parker. You know how them guys at Parker High School, they was always fighting. They didn't pull out guns, man. They was pulling out knives, but they didn't pull out guns. This guy ready to shoot. I'm like, man, that was crazy. But yeah, we are definitely out of here, guys.
Yeah,
man,
guys.
Been
we're gonna have to come back for part 3, man.
Rock with us this early morning. Magnum. Let's see who else we had come in. Matthew Lincoln off of Facebook. AJ Skills came through. JL come through,
man.
Robert
Ray
Brown
Underwood come through, man.
Ray Underwood came through. But we definitely appreciate all of you coming through, man, as we
Matthew Lincoln on Facebook came through, and Melanie McKee came through on Facebook.
Melanie McKee came through. We definitely appreciate you guys coming in. We know this is early, but just like the last one, man, most of the people that watched the last one came in and rewatched this. For everybody, man, that's coming in and rewatch this, we definitely appreciate it. But yeah, this is part 2 of the Hall of Fame, and we will do a part 3. We will be scheduling that down the road here. Yes. But definitely appreciate that, man, as we went over 3 classes, went over what, Chris, 2006, 2007, and 2008. So, we'll be starting on 2009, man, when we come back, class of 2009. And first inductee there was Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right. And then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. 2 of my favorite wrestlers.
No, we actually skipped, man. We actually skipped 2006, man.
We did?
Yeah, we went to 5, then we went to 7, and then we went to 8. So we actually skipped 6, man. Holy cow, we got to go back and get 6.
Yeah, we got to get 6. We got to go back to 6, guys.
We definitely gonna go back and get 2006, man. Definitely get that class, because oh my goodness, that class right there is something serious, guys. So
yes it is.
Definitely rock with us as we come back and get 2006 and try to finish this thing on out. But before
unless you want to get 2006 right now, we can.
We can finish it up, man. We gotta say something, because that's a good class here. That's a great
looking class. My boy Tony Atlas in there too. So
and my man Refrigerator William Perry in there, man. The fridge.
Wow, man. Let's look at this real quick. Bret the Hitman Hart, Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, Mean Gene Oakland, Sensational Sherry, Vern Gagne, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, the Blackjack Mulligan and Blackjack Lanza, William the Refrigerator Perry, man. I thought I saw Ricky Steamboat in here.
He was later on. He was Steamboat was
where did I see his? I thought I saw his name.
Steamboat was 09. Steamboat's coming up in our class.
Okay, maybe that's because I was looking at 2009. Okay, don't know. Because that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the next one. Okay, but yeah, man. You know what? I saw SD Jones' name. Last time we did this, I'm like, why in the world they put this dude in the Hall of Fame?
He inducted Tony, man. He inducted
Tony. I see that. But yeah, man, incredible. That's 2006 is an incredible class. But guys, we got to go back to 2016. We jumped to 2009. We skipped. We skipped.
We jumped, guys.
We sorry about that. Mag says at the end, he says I missed the first half of the show, and I'm going to go back and listen to it from the beginning. Thank you, great show, guys. Right, you guys have an awesome weekend. You too, definitely, Mag. Robert Brown, if you can get Scott Larson back on here.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely get Scott on here, man.
Yeah, we definitely will. It definitely will. But guys, we definitely appreciate you guys coming on, man, rocking with us early this morning. I know a lot of you guys was hoping to sleep in. Usually I sleep in on Saturday too. But I ended up coming out early, you know. Man, Chris got up to do this thing, man. I am dead tired. But yeah, I'm trying to wake up. And Chris and I, like I said, tonight will be 3-count championship wrestling. Chris, we actually need to go on for a little short. Need to do a little short thing on that a little bit later before we go there. But I'm going to grab something to eat, man. I don't know if you ate today yet.
No, I ain't ate nothing.
Yeah, me and my wife and son, we're going to go get something to eat. But yeah, we appreciate you guys coming on, rocking with us, man, on the second edition of our
part two
Hall of Fame part 2, man.
And there will be a part 3.
Y'all going live for Collision tonight? No, we're definitely not going live for Collision tonight. Robert Brown, we will be at 3-count championship wrestling. And if they want us to do a little podcast, then we'll podcast from there, man. But we'll talk to Tim or whatever. We don't want to intrude on that. We'll take pictures or whatever. We definitely will be doing something there, and we'll let guys know that we're there at in Anderson, South Carolina. Hopefully our man Braden will be there too.
Yeah, all right, hopefully, man.
Robert Brown says, what y'all eating? I don't know exactly what I had planned on going.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I had planned on going somewhere, man, to Eggs Up Grill, but I don't think I'm gonna go there because they close at 2:00, and I have a little ways to get there. I definitely can get there before they close, but I might go get some barbecue or something like that, Chris. But I might go and eat some barbecue. I don't know. But definitely gonna go and get that done. Gonna go eat some good barbecue, Robert Brown. And hey, I hate to say it, man. I know Indiana probably got some good barbecue too, but nobody does it like South Carolina, man. This is where barbecue started. Right here. We the first ones did it. But I know Memphis got their barbecue. I know who else got their barbecue. North Carolina got great barbecue.
St. Louis. Kansas City,
St. Louis, they got good barbecue. But hey, South Carolina, if you come to South Carolina, you start a barbecue restaurant, you better be darn good. It better be good. And we got so many of them, we don't get the accolades that a lot of other people get. They don't talk about our barbecue because, like I said, hey, it's not just one special place. There's a lot of special places here in South Carolina that do barbecue. All right, let's see. We got, Robert Brown says, I agree, my brother. No doubt. But yeah, we definitely get Scott Larson on with us, man, and we might try to get him on for the next Hall of Fame show.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see if we can try to get him on for the next Hall of Fame show. If not, we'll come up with a show and bring Scott Larson on with us, man. He's definitely a treat to listen to. Scott, man, is pretty much he's honorary member of the Straight Up Wrestling Show. But yeah, definitely, Robert, man, that's a good suggestion, and we definitely will be doing that. All right, Chris, man. I'm out of here. I'll call you a little bit later, man, and we'll see if we can talk about 3-count before we go on. But if you go into on our Facebook page, 3-count has some guy on there talking, man. I don't know, some guy talking about their card.
That's the media director, man.
Yeah, the media guy. Director. Did you see that? I did put that in there.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out. I saw it was in there, but I haven't
checked it out. But I did put that in there, and I listened to him just for a minute or so. But yeah, definitely want to check that out. But I want me and Chris. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk about it before we go out there, giving them a little more pub. But definitely, man, I look forward to doing that, and hopefully, our man Braden gets to get out. 3-count tonight. But But another thing, like I say, our man King will be out at APW. He's next week. He's gonna be. This Friday he's gonna be at APW.
Yeah, APW, man. And we got to get back down to Atlanta, GA, Deep South Wrestling. They running a show tonight. Our man, Luca Daniels will be down there today at 3 p.m. He'll be down there running, doing a match, having a match at Deep South Pro Wrestling down in Atlanta, GA. I would love to get back down there here at Daz Barbecue with our man Nick Patrick, the referee, man, one of the co-founders.
They got some great barbecue there too.
Yeah, Dad's barbecue. Good Lord, that brisket sandwich, boy, almost good as Bucky's, boy. Almost good as Bucky's.
Exactly. All right, man. I am out of here, man. I am.
Yeah, man. Well, we about to get out of here, guys, and we're gonna catch y'all later for part 3 of the WWE Hall of Fame. Until then, guys, for your man HBT, I am the People's Podcast.
15, give it 15 seconds, man. Be 3 hours.
Yeah, but he said 15 seconds, boy.
Yeah, 10, 9, 8. We on the countdown, man. It's gonna be 3 hours. Yeah, no doubt about it. Straight up, guys. We are out of here. We will see you guys later. Stay straight up. Peace.